Hello again. Welcome to the Drop Frames. It's Sunday. Is it the first day of football season, Jericho, or is that next week?
For college, yesterday?
What about pro? When do the pros start?
Thursday night football with the Baltimore Ravens
Okay, I
and
knew you
the
would know.
Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah.
I knew you would know. Our resident Call of Duty and football expert, Jericho, has joined the show. Also, he's in the intro of the show. One of two people.
Yeah.
He's in the intro of the show.
Wow.
Zeke is still burning.
I would argue that I am included in and others on the intro.
Okay, all right. Yes, that is true.
He has a good point.
That was
medals
are
actually
great,
made
Dan. Yeah,
specifically for Dan.
Yeah, you are. It's true. That's true. Zeke is still burning, so we got Dan back as well. He'll be back next. Zeke will be back next week, and we should have Maximilian Dude on the 8th as well. I need to follow up with him because that was 2 weeks ago when we scheduled that. But that's next week. Let's talk this week. Contracts are over. It's September 1st. Streamers are back on Twitch.
Did they come back on the same day?
It seems like it. Yeah, Dr. Lupo and Tim the Tatman did at least.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Literally the second they could.
Yeah. I saw there's also a FaZe Clan member that got welcomed back by the CEO on Twitter. That's how I knew. It's Dan Clancy was out there welcoming him back. Yeah, Swag. Everyone knows Swag, right? You guys know Swag, the streamer? Everyone knows him?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But unironically, yeah. Yeah, he's a big streamer.
Shut up, Jericho. You're cool. We don't know any of these people. We don't know Swag from FaZe. He's from FaZe, right? Is he part of FaZe? He's part of the new FaZe? Yeah,
he's part of the FaZe group. The
FaZe
existing
group.
ones.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, anyways, contracts are over. They're back. Who else is in contract at YouTube?
Some of the later ones were like Ginny TV, I think was one. Sakuno, I think was one of the later.
I think Sakuno's already back, right?
Myth is gone.
Oh yeah, Myth is on a break.
He's dead?
No, he's gone. He's retired.
He's on a break.
Myth announced that he is retiring from content creation and he is doing other things. So he
got out.
Oh, I thought it was just a break. It was a retirement.
Yeah, well, he's taking. Well, I mean, he's taking a break. Yes, he made an actual full video.
Taking a break is retirement for you?
Dude's like 25. Anything is. I mean, at this page is retiring. I mean, come on, he can do whatever he wants with his life. The dude had major success in his mid-20s.
Yeah. Fair. Yeah.
Come on, dude. But the point is if you want actual information, he made a really good video on it, and he was very open about his journey and all that stuff. So definitely should check it out if you're interested in the Myth journey.
Yeah, it's true. When is
someone in my chat who streams after 25? I know.
That's
literally.
That's true. Yeah. Ludwig is already back. He's been streaming on Twitch for a while. Under Mogul Moves. That's his channel now.
How long's Ludwig been back?
3
Couple
months.
Events.
Yeah, I think he only streams events though. Like he doesn't stream his gaming stuff on Twitch or something like that. But yeah, I think there's still a handful of people. Like I don't think did Valkyrie ever stream on Twitch? I feel like she's always been YouTube, but I might be completely wrong.
I think she was one of the first people that was like Team YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess she's synonymous with it. Yeah.
Courage
is still over there and going strong. Yep.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Anyways, all those folks are back and taking all of our subs. Tim, I think, had 4,000 subs, 4.1 thousand subs or something in 2 hours. So, yay.
Well, I mean, you got to keep in mind,
bro. What the hell?
I bet every one of us has double-digit plus members of our community that are Twitch diehards that would never go to another platform, regardless.
Sure, yeah.
So, I mean, this is a welcome home for thousands and thousands of members of their community. So it makes sense. It is a little confusing, right? Why would you give a whole bunch of money to the people that just came back from getting the bag? Like the whole point was that they left to make a bunch of money. Yeah. So it's weird that they get back and people throw a bunch of money at their face. Yeah. But the point is that these are people that haven't seen them in some cases for years. Like these are people. It's literally a giant party for thousands of people that some of their favorite streamers are coming back to the only place they watch streamers.
Yeah.
So if it's a huge party, and it should be a huge party, like it's awesome. It's a big deal for a lot of people.
Yeah. It honestly felt like, at least in the chat, and I agree with a lot of chat that was in Tim's chat, of just like he disappeared for 3 years, because it's so hard to go and find a YouTube, like unless you just go straight to the link.
Unless you go to them.
Yeah,
To the
it's such a
channel is
hard.
the only time. And I'll be honest, I used to watch these guys. I mean, they're my friends, and I used to watch them on occasion whenever I'd just be eating, and they would be on Twitch just like I do everybody else. But like the fact is, when I go to YouTube, I'm looking for like a 12 to 20-minute video essay or something about architecture. And then when I go to Twitch, like that's the mindset that I'm in. So I'm glad they're back, because I didn't engage with it. I mean, I did click on streams from time to time, but I really didn't ever purposefully engage with their content for 3 years.
Yeah.
So
Big same.
good to have him back.
Tim, like I watched Tim level up. Like I streamed besides him, like during his big thing. I would always hang out in Tim's. I think I was still a sub to his channel up to the day that he left. So it's for me personally, it's cool to see him back on the platform, man. Like that's awesome. I'll probably go re-up my sub to him, because you know, I had it when he left. But
Feels like old times, like family's coming back. You know, after you
bit.
haven't seen them in years. It's like
For
a
sure.
reunion.
Yeah. It is a little bit weird as
and
well.
this is also the last time it's going to happen. Like
Yes,
potentially
it
ever.
is.
Potentially, yeah,
Like,
with the big
this is
contracts.
like
yeah.
there's no more contracts, man.
No, that was a flash in the
Yeah.
pan. Thank God I survived long enough for that. But like, you know, when you look at the landscape and how fast people join like that upper echelon of influencer, and then also equally how fast they fall out, really, like I used to think that 4 years was like a solid time at the top. And then with the exception of Outliers, it feels like it's like 3 years now, or even closer to 2 years, or you have people that are just popular for one thing for 6 months. What's the ice cream like girl from TikTok doing? The Yum Yum ice cream NPC stream? Like, are they still
yeah.
doing their thing?
I don't know what.
You know what I mean? That was like the biggest thing in the world for like 6 months. So what's going on with that? So it's just like, yeah, it's good to have people with a long-standing 10+ year community come back to a place that would actively support that community. And also, very few people benefited more than them because they held their viewership to some degree on YouTube. So they're just coming back to a larger, bigger audience and co-streaming to their existing large audience versus doing it the other way around. You know, where I feel like most of us co-streaming to YouTube don't have a fraction of the viewership that we do on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, we say all the time, diversify. That's the perfect example of that. That's like the extreme example of diversification. So it's going to be really cool to see like how they progress from here. Funny enough, Lupo came back and he's getting 3 times the numbers he was getting on YouTube normally.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
and he was one of the
if
ones
he's anywhere near that consistent, that's amazing.
He I think was one of the ones that actually took a viewership hit when he went to YouTube.
Big time.
Yeah.
He actually dropped by about 50%.
Okay.
Plus in some cases when he went to YouTube.
Yeah.
It's just so hard for a Twitch person to go to YouTube because it's just not as good. Like, it's not good to find streams. The chat is not great. The membership stuff is confusing to people. It's just not a great. They kind of felt like they gave up on it after a while and stopped like working on it.
Yeah.
There's a significant. Okay, go ahead, because I.
No, go ahead, please.
Oh yeah, there's a significant cultural difference.
Sorry.
Okay, no.
Go ahead, please, JP.
Hold on,
go.
I've already started.
I don't have anything to add. Jericho, you
Jericho.
go.
Dan, take it away.
There's a huge cultural difference between the communities on Twitch and YouTube, and one of the driving factors, whether you think it's a good thing or not, is how ads force people to sub to channels individually on Twitch. Whereas I have YouTube Premium, I don't see ads, right? I just don't see ads. The only incentive is to get membership benefits, which largely don't get used in the way that YouTube wants you to, like premium uploads and all that stuff. So it's like it is a kind of big shift, and I'm assuming that these people have more active and more large member sub numbers on Twitch than they would ever have on YouTube.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing to think about, and we talk about this all the time on the show, is how, you know, Twitch streamers, we deal with natural attrition. Like if we don't get an influx of new viewers and things of that nature, our numbers will just continually go down over time. That's how it works. That's why when Twitch streamers like have regular numbers for long periods of time, treading water is actually doing great on Twitch. That's actually really good if you're doing that because natural attrition works against you. On YouTube, unless you are directly plugged into the algorithm, If you're a streamer, you don't have those same avenues of new viewers. You don't have that constant influx of new people like you do here on Twitch. It's a completely different ecosystem for live streaming. So unless you have those YouTube avenues already set up, already existing, already bringing in new people to your channel, then you are literally just, you're there was that joke where streamers go to die when they go to other platforms. That's literally what Twitch streamers would do going to YouTube. They wouldn't have the foundation. They wouldn't have the avenues set up for new people to join their channel. And they would just sit there building it with nobody coming as their numbers slowly go down over weeks and months. I hate to say it, but we saw that happen with streamers who are still streaming today. And they are now at a fraction of what they used to be before they left Twitch. We're talking like 80% less viewers. And it's because they went over there and they didn't have the avenues set up. And then when they finally came back, it was like a different world.
I don't even think having the correct avenues set up is enough at this point, right? Because I've hit 15 years on my existing channel, and I thought to myself, like, okay, now that we allow co-streaming, multi-streaming, I should do a split stream where I go and do Counter-Strike on my main channel on both Twitch and YouTube. And I tried that out for a couple weeks, and it literally tanked my average viewership per video because of whatever stupid metrics they still use to quantify the watch time or the percentage of the video finished, right? Where even if the average watch time on the stream was 20 minutes, which is a lot of time, that's
pretty high for YouTube.
Right. But 3% of the video. So YouTube's like, damn, people don't want to watch this anymore. And so as soon as I started streaming on YouTube, my video views dropped by 50%. When I stopped doing that, they've started to climb back up again. So I'm like, why? It's a disincentive.
They're like fighting you to use their service. They're like literally attacking you for using their service.
It's with itself.
It's crazy. If you think about that on paper, it's like, how is this allowed to function? Like, this is crazy that they're doing this. It's like they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
But for the reason this is like a lot of the reason that YouTube gaming guys left was the exact kind of stuff that like, from what I heard, that was a big part of it, outside of the crypto money. But
they're prioritizing shorts on YouTube, right? Which is like where their growth is coming from. But it's kind of ironic because you're like, how can they be fighting against the people who want to make long form content on a traditionally long form content platform? But then we also have Twitch redesigning the entire mobile app and trying to make it for short form content when this is a long form content, right? So it's like, I don't know, people just be making bad decisions a lot of the time.
Everyone's trying to do
and not
everything.
Understanding what made them popular.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like they're so concerned about chasing the newest trend that they're completely alienating the people that made them what they are, which is like, it's very frustrating.
The Twitch app is trying to go for the TikTok audience, and they don't have the tools, the algorithm behind any of it, or even the content itself, which is usually quite edited on TikTok. Like random clips is never going to like trend like a highly edited TikTok video ever will. But they're still trying to chase that golden unicorn, trying to catch it, and it never will.
Yeah.
And not only that, I mean, there's that tweet going around where Dan was on a stream and he actually said, like, what did he say? That the timeline was there to get the 8 to 12-year-olds, like the younger audience.
That's part of the news,
like, you can't even be on this platform without being 13, Dan. How are you going to say that out loud? Like, you're literally like, oh my God, man. Like, you're literally designing features that are making everyone crazy to attract an audience that you yourself say you can't broadcast to.
Yep. Yeah. He was on Wake Wilder's stream. And
I stopped streaming. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say he's doing for whatever reason, Dan's doing his first stream-a-thon, and so his stream-a-thon is using the drop-in or the knock feature. Is the only person on the entire platform using it to go and talk with other people. So he knocked on Wake Wilder's stream. Wake Wilder is a Austin-based streamer, kind of in the OTK world. And he said he was also on there. Was it Sushi? Is it Sushi Dragon? Sushi Extra? I forget.
The guy that does the crazy RL stuff.
Yeah.
The guy's amazing.
Yeah. He essentially said Zach Busey was the one reporting. He said Twitch recognizes the mobile app update missing the mark for core users, aka Twitch's bread and butter, and says a following page rework is being developed that may address concerns, but it will take some time to release. And then he goes, unfortunately, and this is what Ko was talking about, they cannot go back to the old app or how it worked because they need to, and this is verbatim, they need to bring in children who grew up on TikTok from ages 8 to 12 to download the app and become the next users of Twitch.
Okay, so actually, to be clear, he didn't say he's attracting the 8 to 12-year-olds. He's saying
He's
that the ones
attracted to 8 to
he's saying,
12
no,
year
to
olds?
me, this is
What?
important. Attracting, ing.
Oh,
He's
I don't know if
attracting. Slow it down. Don't let this become a clip on LSF. He's saying that he's attracting the people that between 8 to 12 grew up on TikTok. So then I'm assuming he's saying at 13 they would then come to Twitch.
Yes.
Which is,
Does
I guess, a
this
little
just
better,
not make-
but still, that
Does
means
this not just
that
make. Oh no, I was gonna say, does this not just not make sense when you look at it in terms of like they like it's like chess and checkers, like they like that the content they grew up on is inherently the opposite of the content that Twitch produces. Therefore, it doesn't matter how much you appeal to it. Under the hood, it's just not appealing. It's like you put a body kit on a Civic. It's like still Civic in there, right? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You can't make it something it's
Are we
not.
making car metaphors now, Jericho?
For the
I don't
record-
know, I'm into cars.
outside of the weird ass car metaphor, I'm glad I shut up because it's exactly what I was about to say. That's exactly like you just said exactly what I was going to say. Like literally, he's saying they grow up on a content that is then not what Twitch is, and that's the conversion they're trying to make.
There
Where
is
it's just like,
still some proof of the conversion, though, right? Like Queso and
yes.
and
Pirate
JC,
Software.
yeah, and Pirate Software, sure.
Pirate
another case.
Software grew off the shorts, absolutely.
But those
But
they're
there's
very
also
rare.
something to be there's also something to be said though that if you then look at those people, that they fit all the characteristics of like streamers at that level. So it is a finding them situation, and yes, absolutely, diversification leads to more discoveries of that nature. But it is not a situation where it's just like, oh yeah, more people are getting popular. Like the people that are getting discovered are still like meeting the traits of everything that makes popular streamers.
It's true.
So that's overall a good thing.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen in any industry and between any mediums. Like people getting discovered. I mean, people get discovered at the gas station, to then be in movies. So it's like that's going to happen regardless of the medium itself.
Yeah.
If Twitch really wants to draw in viewers, they have got to change their ad system to where we can have fewer ads and have it have much higher CPM, because getting bombarded with 3 ads every hour or more sometimes, it's just like that's been turning people away more than probably anything else they've been doing for the past year.
That's all they make money on, bro.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
Well,
the problem.
It's
I think
it's
the
like
problem-
on YouTube. On YouTube, they can have a 15-second ad that pays as much as the 3 minutes of ads on Twitch, because they can highly target a specific person, their location, their job, their income, their religion, their language. But on Twitch, they can't do anything except their location. So that's why they have to bombard large volumes instead of having these highly targeted ads.
Now, it is important to mention though that Twitch does not have nearly the breadth of advertising options as something like YouTube. That is important to mention. But that being said, the ad system on Twitch is also archaic, and it absolutely is one of the reasons that Twitch is floundering. Like they absolutely need better ad management, better targeted ads, more ad control for streamers. Like it is kind of wild that they're pushing ads as hard as they are and not focusing on more ways to have it be more foundationally more value oriented.
Well,
it's
do you remember maybe 2 TwitchCons ago? The last one that I went to and I think it was in San Diego, when they had partners go in and talk to Dan Clancy and like the whole group about, the changes to the partner
Monetization
systems,
and
all
stuff,
that. Yeah,
yeah.
monetization. The literal only question that I had, because this hasn't been a problem in the entire history of Twitch, was if you were going to force ads to be played, how are you going to solve the problem of low ad inventory? Because you're going to have the people that are going to see the same ad 95 times. But if you're in Bosnia, you're not seeing no ads. So what's going on? Like you don't have a Balkan ad team that's targeting that. And I'm so old. Do you guys remember when CBS was the ad sales team? Was it CBS? It was a network back in 2012 that was
On
running all of
Twitch?
all ad inventory. I think it was CBS.
I forgot who it was.
But
that
they
was a year
had
before
like
my time.
yeah, but they ran the ad inventory, and even during that time, there were like jokes in our streams about like LeBron's haircut, because there's a Samsung ad
Yeah.
that we only had access to play for ad revenue, and it would just play on loop. And it's like they didn't solve that problem then with the biggest ad inventory program that they could work with at the time. They didn't solve it now, and it's like the volume, the problem with volume is not going to go away because they don't have anything else. Like that's the only way they can serve ads is by volume.
Yeah, it's a little to play devil's advocate. I will say there's no way in hell they will match anywhere close to YouTube/Google's ad service, because that's one of the biggest in the world. So
Out of curiosity though, Jericho, in a situation like that, What do they do? Is there a good outcome?
I don't know, man. I like that's a is there like because they're incentivizing us to stream more ads by breaking it down and suggested like 4-minute ad block or 5. They even suggest 7 monthly, right? Which
7
is
at the
absurd.
highest,
That's
yeah.
TV. That's a TV program, 23-minute television program, 7-minute ads, right? And that's not sustainable. But the solution being not serving ads when it's the only thing they're making money on. The other solution would be find some other way to make money. I don't know how you do that to, circumvent not serving the only thing that gets you money. I don't know if I'm speaking right, but like, what are you going to monetize? Like encoding options, like fighting games used to do, where you subscribe and you get 1440p now, but you can't. I mean, back then it was 480 or 720, but
Yeah.
like you need to find a way to supplement the loss of ad revenue, which is the only revenue. I don't know what you do.
One of Twitch's biggest costs is that Amazon charges them directly for every feed that their live feed that's going, and some live feeds cost them way more money than they ever generate from ads and subs, and that's especially the super high viewer count ones are sometimes
Like
costing them
Asmon's
lots
second
of money.
channel.
Yeah. Like it's just draining them. They haven't figured out that problem yet.
Didn't they force Asmon to turn on subs though, or something like that? Like he had to sign a partner contract.
He has announced that they're going to.
Okay.
I don't know if they actually have yet though.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. Asmon has ads now. That's it.
Okay,
There
he
you
has ads. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, just to be clear, YouTube serves ads on your videos when you're not in the YouTube partner program. You just don't earn the money on it.
You just don't earn money. Yeah.
I think that's same.
So
yeah.
I think that's
I
same
think
for
Twitter
Twitch,
is one of the few. Twitter is one of the few places that doesn't do that for uploaded, but their content restrictions are really strict.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, hey, that was a fun 30-minute business talk. Now that we've scared everyone away, let's talk about video games.
Anyone left? I know, right?
Oh yeah.
I guess. I mean, is there anything else? PAX Prime happened this week. I guess other industry news. I haven't been to a PAX in probably a decade at this point. I don't know what happens there. It used to be a great time when we would all go to that fucking Hilton bar at PAX East and then
Fun.
all see each other the next morning. Was slowly walking to the convention center.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Lots of sunglasses.
I'll be dead in the partner section of the Twitch lounge, just like
Yeah. Oh yeah. We would all
lying there.
migrate over there. That's right, Dan. And then we'd all just sit there.
Oh,
Hey, man, you
don't-
going to the Twitch party tonight?
no,
You
no,
gonna be
less,
there at the
less
Twitch-
noise.
The inevitable. No, it's always so loud there. Where's the more quiet one? Where's everyone gonna be?
Yeah, I have no idea what happens at PAX these days. I know.
Are you DansGaming? No, he died. His brother.
I know Capcom had a giant booth there, and they were playing Wilds, and I think they had a couple other games that they were showing. I saw Donkey also had a booth for Big Mode, his publishing thing, but it was just like, it was like in the indie alley because he's indie, and it was very weird to just see Donkey sat there at a desk with Big Mode behind him, and it was maybe about a 7-foot wide booth. And he's probably like the biggest YouTuber in that entire building.
Good for him, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love
he's
that
he's
so
walking the walk, I guess you could say.
That's right.
Which is cool. Which is
That's
cool.
what you got to do. Is doing the legwork, man.
Yeah, yeah. What else has happened this past week? There's been a good bit of news. I guess we can talk about it's Annapurna is now publishing the Control and Alan Wake series is essentially what that announcement was. Annapurna is a like TV, film / some TV stuff. So you'll probably see, I think they actually said that you will most likely see some sort of media property
Nice.
using those two properties, which is really cool.
Control would be perfect for that. I mean, not that
all
Alan
of
Wake
them
wouldn't,
would
but
be.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, they're more. All of those games are just more movie than gameplay. That's not true, but they're cinema.
Yeah.
There's cinema.
Yeah, it's they're calling it a strategic partnership agreement on Control 2, as well as bringing Control and Alan Wake to film and television. So essentially, I guess that means that like Control 2 is going to be if it wasn't already, it's now fully funded, which we all want to hear that because Control 2 is awesome, or Control 1 was awesome. It also came out 5 years ago this past week, which
Wow.
that was
the first RTX game, right?
one of the first big ones. Yeah. I don't know if it was like the first one, but it was that
I
game that
remember it
everyone was
being a
like,
flagship.
yeah, the game's really,
Yeah.
it's got RTX, man. Did you turn RTX on? It's pretty cool. It looks pretty
They're
cool.
really pushing the RTX when it was coming out. Remember Nvidia
Yeah.
pushing it like crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
The announcement itself says Annapurna will finance 50% of the development budget for the upcoming Control 2 video game and gain the rights to expand the award-winning Control and Alan Wake franchises into film and television. Remedy will receive a greater revenue share from game sales after the initial investments have been recouped, proportional to
Nice.
the amounts invested. Conversely, Annapurna will receive a greater revenue share from the audio-visual productions. So
Nice.
I think
That seems pretty fair. All things considered, from like a publishing standpoint, that's about as good as you can get. A
Yeah.
fat advance, and then you get a fat chunk when it recoups. That's nice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, and it also, there's always been that worry whenever you look at Alan Wake. At least for me, whenever I looked at like Alan Wake 2 sales, it was Game of the Year contender last year. It was all over the award shows and everyone talked about it, but it didn't sell all that well. So
I think it's still recouping its costs.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Which is wild.
want to say a lot of that stuff, like one of the deals they took to help make that game, wasn't it an Epic deal? Like it was only on Epic.
Yeah, Alan Wake 2 is epic.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that means some of that stuff will come over to Steam.
Yeah.
at some
Still not
point.
on Steam, which is like the biggest PC.
It's also
They
kinda
don't
wild
have
to
the
think-
rights.
Yeah.
They don't have the rights to that one versus the Control. They
Mhm.
do. So Control 2 should end up on Steam.
Yeah.
As far as I understand it.
What were we gonna say, Co?
I was gonna say it's wild to think that they took like a really fat epic deal that didn't even cover the costs. Like I was kind of under the assumption most of the time that the whole point of taking, the big epic pill was to basically guarantee a success or at least get a big way towards it. So to think
Really?
that to think this far out, they still haven't broke even, like even with all their
Yeah.
sales,
Yeah.
makes me wonder why'd you take that epic deal, man? Like how it doesn't seem like it gave you much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like
I mean, I'm
it's
sure we
been a
don't know,
big-
obviously, but that's weird. That seems weird.
Seems like it's been a big problem across the industry where these ballooning budgets where
Oh.
they just don't recuperate their money at the end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It wasn't an Epic deal. Epic published Alan Wake 2.
It was
That's what
definitely
Chat's
still
saying.
on Epic.
That's different. Which would make sense. Why? But that's very different than a normal Epic deal. Like a
Oh,
normal Epic deal is like Hades 2. An Epic exclusivity for a year, that kind of thing. But this is different. And that means it may never go to Steam.
Unless they buy out the license or however that works. I don't know how that works, to be honest, but
That's very different.
yeah. Annapurna does have a fuck ton of money. The owner is the daughter of a billionaire. So she
Nice.
As you do. Yeah,
she's got some money to kind of help along with that. And Annapurna does very well in their own right as a company.
They did Outer Wilds, didn't they? Is that
they,
Annapurna?
they do have a games like
Maybe not.
arm.
Maybe I'm thinking of something different.
I think you are thinking of something. What did they put out?
Oh, no,
see.
they published it. Yeah. Cool.
They did. Okay.
There you go.
They did Thirsty
was amazing.
Suitors, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Cocoon, Stray, Neon White,
Stray.
Hohokum, 12
Neon White.
Minutes.
Oh,
They're
12
directly-
minutes.
Nice.
I don't know if they're
Cool.
do they do the show themselves every year? Or are
Who?
they affiliated with the show? The Sundance, aren't they affiliated with that?
They're probably affiliated with that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah okay.
Yeah.
Good lineup.
Florence, Donut County, Flower. I guess that's an old one, but sure.
Flower or plower?
Flower. The old. It was the Journey devs made Flower.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh
Gone-
yeah, yeah.
Gone
I thought
Home's on
Flower
that list
was
too.
more of a movie.
Gone Home, great. Good. Banger. They have a good A&R on that. Like whoever's choosing the games to work with, they've really got a good variety of styles on that one.
Yeah. Oh, I've Gone
Great.
Home. That one was right there. That's probably that's a huge, at least critic success. Maybe their most successful on their entire list. But To kind of jump to another story, Dan, I think you brought it up, talking about how expensive games are. The Baldur's Gate 3 publishing director said, quote, almost all games should cost more at a base level because they cost too much to make. Everyone's just waiting for GTA 6 to do it, LOL. You think GTA 6 is going to be an $80 game?
$90.
$90 game at base level?
Literally, I wouldn't even be surprised if they do $99 and they just say fuck it. Like I truly, and I also
game.
I'm gonna say something controversial. Everybody should be paying more money for their art, especially with the amount of time that you get out of a video game. It's kind of absurd, right? I think it sucks to pay that much for a mediocre game. I would never pay $80 for a bad game, but you know, GTA 6, it's kind of like you're hedging your bets here. You're going to probably get easily 100 hours or more casually out of the game. That should be, you know, I just don't think that that's a crazy idea or concept.
Yeah. I don't
Honestly,
necessarily disagree with you. I think it is dependent on the game, though. Like GTA 6 is not the same game as, well, to be honest, there's no other game like GTA 6, really.
Well, for me, like the discrepancy between like a bedroom, you know, programmer and a AAA company, like those are oceans apart. So the only thing I will say is it is very strange that a team of 20 with an average budget of $1 million can have a game that's the max price same as like a AAA that is spending $50 million. You know, that's weird.
And that's low.
Like
yeah.
it definitely feels like it seems basic logic should dictate that if a ton more resources are put into something, it should cost more. So like I don't like it doesn't seem out of line that if you're gonna spend $30 million just on the talent of actors in your game, that you should charge more people to play that.
And it's up to them to
but
not
at the same
pay for it if they don't want to. Like
exactly.
I think it's a tough argument. If you use any other game in this instance, it's going to be hard for me to argue that the game should cost more than $60 because that's the price point we've accepted as the what things should cost, right? Like that's the AAA price point, whatever. But with GTA specifically, I do not feel like it's a equal comparison. What was the quoted amount that they're going to spend? Like $1 billion plus.
I think it was $1 billion, right?
Right. You know,
$2 billion.
It's not it's the company's job to make something that's profitable, right? Otherwise, they're not a good company. So they price it at whatever they feel they can recoup on, and that's that. Any other discourse is just kind of silly. I don't think that an indie dev with low overhead can't or shouldn't price their game at $60. And I think you're okay with being like, why is this $60? There's some indie games that were like an hour and a half long that were $40 that I've played. And I'm like, I don't know if I got my value out of that, to be honest with you, but it was really well made and I understand it. It's, you know, if you're arguing like, I can't afford it if they do that, that does suck. But like, that's their choice to charge you that much and your choice not to. And if they don't make their money back, they won't make it again. So it's kind of a balancing act.
Yeah, and that gets really weird because then it goes, okay, if they don't make their money back because they, you know, outprice their game, is that their fault for trying to shoot for the moon? Or is it like, I guess it would be entirely. So in that case, like when we argue that the price of video games should be more, and we keep seeing these $2 billion companies trying to move the goalpost, like how do we approach that then?
When's the last like Far Cry game that you've bought? You know, or like I mean, I'm using that example because people don't like Ubisoft, but like,
I mean, you could say Star Wars,
right? Or you know, Star Wars, or
Outlaws,
like Starfield. Yeah. Like, is Starfield a success in any metric? Are people thrilled with the cost of that game and the content they got from it? Like, will they make Starfield 2 because of that? Like, what's you know? I guess the short answer is like, yes, it should work in a vacuum where people don't like it, they don't pay it, they don't play it. That game doesn't get made like that again. But that's not the way it's going to work. Companies who have money to burn like Ubisoft are going to do that and then write it off because they make more money on Rainbow Six microtransactions. You know, like having a loss leader is not a bad thing for a business sometimes.
Yeah. That's true.
I think a lot of companies have been dealing with this, not able to go above $60 price by pushing the microtransactions, in-game shops, battle passes, trying to like not only make you buy the game, but also make you buy more things in the game to try to compensate for not being able to raise the price, or they feel like they
Like
can't raise
look
the
at
price.
Diablo 4.
That's
Absolutely.
Diablo
Yeah.
4 in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
they can't break the ceiling of the game price, so they max it and then add in as many other revenue streams as they can to offset, like what
Or
they
like-
could have.
I mean, even look at League of Legends, right? They introduce, they don't have a price point to enter. They only make money off of cosmetics, and the cost of cosmetics and bundles has gradually and steadily increased. So you have these like $500 faker bundles, and it's like them outright saying, we're just here to get the whales. And it's like, okay, at least you're upfront about it. But like, there's like a dollar creep that happens with all of these where it's like the user base may not be growing. You need infinite scaling. How do I earn more money? And it's just like more monetization, and Tarkov doing the same thing.
Yeah. If anything, Tarkov kind of screwed itself over.
Tarkov's worse. Yeah. Tarkov's worse.
Yeah, they're not doing so great. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, it's the answer for now is
The answer's it's the
Probably more.
consumer, right?
yeah.
I mean, the answer to all this is the consumer just buying things that they believe in. If they believe a game is too expensive, stop buying it. That'll flag to the companies to stop putting that many resources into it and make smaller games, or at least games within a better budget, so they can keep the price down, because that's how much gamers are willing to spend. And
Diablo 4
all comes down to vote with your wallet, I guess.
It's true.
Diablo 4 released some Warcraft skins recently that were $25 each. And like,
Yeah.
I was pissed as I was buying it and becoming Sylvanas in game. I was so mad and offended.
Yeah, no, those skins are yeah.
So wait,
I want to say
what
those were
happens,
$30.
though-
Were they 25?
What happens
I don't know.
when GTA 6 comes out at $100 and everyone buys it?
Then people are going to try and copy it and try and
Yeah.
have some dollar creep, and you're going to have this same argument over and over again. Isn't it not
Can we,
like
have,
a movie?
can we just have you back on the show for that next episode?
Yeah, we'll actually repeat the same thing.
We'll get the whole
again.
script, like just word for word. Okay. Well, I'm glad we've established that it's cyclical and there's nothing we can do. Maybe we can take like a nihilistic
No.
approach moving forward and just enjoy. I don't know. We'll
No,
figure
I think
something
you
out.
see people voting with their wallets with movie stuff. Like, I'm not super big into movies, but I see a lot of articles about like, Ant-Man did so great in this movie. How did it fail so bad? And like, are we moving on from superheroes because look at this opening weekend and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, people pay attention, and the people that earn money, regardless if it's one game this year or 5 games next year, like eventually, if people don't buy it, then people won't make it.
Yeah.
And especially with the ease with Unreal Engine or other platforms, Unity, and these bedroom game producers coming out and making fun games that are free or cheap and capture more of the market share, then who's not to say it won't flip over to the other side and we just see AAA studios not do well?
Yeah.
We're kind of
Kind of seeing a little
going
bit of
through
that.
right now. Yeah, like that's
Mhm.
that's one of the things kind of happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely right.
Yeah. I'll use that as another jumping off point to another topic. An analyst that was, I guess, reputable enough, and I only say this because of the sales figures that I'm about to say are pretty fucking crazy. An analyst that IGN felt comfortable enough reporting on for the story said that Concord is estimated to have sold 25,000 units.
What's
Total.
the recoup on that?
That's
the
about
recoup on
$1
that?
million just flat because it's a $40 game. but
$499 to go.
It's not taking in.
Dude, they're almost there. They're just
It's
give it a
not
little
taking
time.
in any
Yeah.
cuts. But
It's like 2 more months.
man,
It's like me saying I'm on my way to 1 billion views, guys. I'm on my way.
yeah. It's the article itself is kind of silly, I guess, at least for our audience, because we've talked about why it's failing for almost 2 months.
For about 2 months before it came out.
Yeah,
Like for
that's-
years, we've
yeah,
talked about why it's failing.
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised it hit 25,000, honestly.
Yeah, it's funny to say, JP, but I do realize, like, that's an actual factual statement. We have been talking about the reasons Concord is going to fail for the last 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a shame because it could have been great. They had the talent, they had the skills,
Oh, yeah.
but they just
They
did
had
make
the-
some huge mistakes.
They had all of the technical stuff down. It
Mhm.
played well. The level design was cool. But like the second you start getting to like the design decisions, everything falls apart. From the cast of characters to the game modes to the lack of extra stuff to like, oh man. But technically, Concord was great. Like, and it's
You
sad
can't-
to think that a team that makes something that technically good was put on that. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate. I would have loved to have had a game that technically sound and well made that was fun and interesting. Like,
Yeah.
like that was like really, you know, well designed and looking forward and doing something new. To have that team on it would have been awesome.
Yeah. I mean,
Do you think that there's a chance that it could have like a Titanfall-esque resurgence where it's just the groundwork for a Apex Legends? Because technically speaking, Titanfall was fantastic on every level, both games, right? But failed sales-wise, and then they rolled it into something else. I don't know if Concord has the same level of ingenuity and whatnot, but like, do you think they could roll it into some future thing and not have a total loss? 'Cause I haven't played it,
don't
just
know.
watched.
Even if you make it free to play, I don't think people are going to be, you know, excited to jump into that.
They burned their bridges, man.
Yeah.
Not only they burned their bridges and then they doubled down on it. And there, at this point, there's so much negative publicity with the project that people are excited to see it fail.
Yes, it became the game that people
Yeah.
are excited to see fail. 100%.
That and what's the other one? Dustborn,
Oh,
that which
was it
I think
Dustborn?
that was another game that came out that those two together are people are being like, you know, if you like to see games fail, like go watch this car crash because it's bad. So
Yeah.
it's been there's been a big seeing games fail thing and how much people are putting enjoyment in that. And
That's just
No
internet
needs to say.
negativity, and that's an
Yeah.
awful trend. I do not like that. But sometimes in the instance of Concord, like you can understand the hype around seeing something fire sail into oblivion, right? Not even like a
Yeah.
Schadenfreude thing for some, but for others, it's like a car crash for me. I'm not invested into it except for having the same reaction I think we all did watching the E3 trailer or the games Summer Games Fest trailer, right? Where I was like, cool, look at this movie we got going on. And then they show the gameplay and I was like, it felt like that they're like, and it's a card game. And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm guessing they're gonna have some last minute scramble emergency to try to make it free to play and then give away something on PlayStation Plus to like try to infuse players to save it because that's a massive
God.
amount of money lost. They're gonna have to
Dude,
do something.
And to think that one of the like 15 IPs they chose for this amazing video thing they're making is Concord. Like if this project just falls apart completely, and then we're gonna see.
Yeah,
this, like,
you're right. The Concord, it's got the droop snoot of players right now. It's got, somebody just said SteamDB shows 93 on right now.
God.
You know what they should have done? They should have made it so you just load it up and it gives you a banana every 30 minutes. And then they could have just gotten like way
Now
more
we're
players.
okay. Yeah, I'll
a
buy
second.
that. $40. I'll buy
Wait a
that.
second.
Yeah, call Concord Clicker.
I'm on board. Yeah, someone in chat is saying they said they were going to do at least 3 seasons of it. I don't know how long a season is in that game, but you have to think that they had the pipeline, especially like the cinematics or whatever that they touted as a big push for the ongoing game that they were trying to make. That stuff was probably already done, so they will probably push that out. But yeah, it's wild to think that in terms of just Steam numbers, I want to say Suicide Squad did better than Concord. And like, that's a little bit to jump on the like, let's watch games fail brigade, because I think Suicide Squad was one of those games that everyone watched fail. But for comparison's sake, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
There's probably
Suicide Squad-
hentai games that have more concurrent people right now on Steam.
It's what the article says. It ranked 147th in the US PS5 daily active players across all titles, with fewer than 0.2% of Monday's active PS5 players playing the game. So that's low. That's rough. And there's no way in hell with all of the Call of Duty stuff now that anyone's going to go back to that, right? Like everyone, the multiplayer craze is Blop 6. Everyone's all about it. They can't stop playing it.
And even if they try to do the free-to-play method, by the time they get it done, Marvel Rivals will be out, and then like no one will look at that game.
Right.
'Cause Marvel Rivals is like actually going to do pretty well.
Yeah, it's at least trending that way. The big question with Marvel Rivals is, will it do well a month after it comes out? Right. It's what's the longevity of that game, especially now that they have come out and said that there's no unlocking or buying of the characters. You get all of the characters at once. So like, I don't know what the progression system is going to be to keep people. I guess people still play Overwatch, right? So maybe they don't need any sort of progression system for that. But the other big thing, I think, like kind of glaring issue, and we talked about it before, is Deadlock is taking the lead, I guess you could say, in multiplayer, at least on PC. It's still closed, but they crossed 100,000, I think, last week.
150K.
150K, still invite only, still crushing it. I think, Jericho, you're the only other person on the show that we've had play it. How do you feel? Where are you at with Deadlock? I have a new opinion from last week, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I play every night with Flom and his crew. Flom, I have like 2 days played or something like that, and Flom is probably he says he's top 1% when you check the Deadlock like Elo MMR site.
Oh yeah.
So the games we get in are sweaty and I do die a lot, but it is one of my favorite games in recent memory to just mechanically play. And as somebody who got addicted to League back in beta and season 1 and 2, put 1,500 hours in 1 year into that game, I really wanted a MOBA that wasn't a MOBA. The RTS top-down point-click, APM style gameplay just doesn't work for me in the same way that it used to. And so this, it checks all the boxes, and it really does do a surprisingly good job. I was so scared I would hate it after my first day playing, because I did so bad until I was like, no, it's just a MOBA. It's literally a MOBA. I just have to play a MOBA again. But it's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I was pretty high on the game. I played a massive amount of it in like a 2 or 3 day stretch. That started on stream, and then I would just play off stream. I played a bunch with Strippin's like gang of cohorts, and that was a blast playing with them. And then I queued up solo, was this 2 nights ago? And I hit a wall of just like, I don't like playing this game. Like,
Really?
I have to try so fucking hard to do anything, and there's so many fucking mechanics that like, I just want to shoot something and like feel good about that. I don't want to like wall jump and like parry cancel, and like I don't want to get good. Like there's so much shit in this game. It's so complex and deep that like at the end of the day, I just want to shoot something. And now I'm just like, I'm old.
You're a boomer now.
Dude,
I'm old. I hit that wall like, oh God.
Okay.
You're gonna need to take some time in the near future and like just go ahead and watch what you just said back.
No, I know what I just said, but it's funny because I can go and play League, and I'm like, all right, League's fine. Like
all these mechanics, I just want to click my mouse and have things happen. Like I don't got time to learn all these things.
So many mechanics in this game.
Back in your day, games weren't so complicated, right?
Yeah,
you had a board and a ball, and if the ball hit the board, you were good to go. That was it. It was fine.
There's so many mechanics in this game, and like
There's not.
What are you
more
talking
than
about?
League.
There's like a parry system. There's like
Right, no, but this is
jumping
it.
off
No.
walls. There's fucking
Yes,
crazy
now there
shit.
is. But you're literally coming from a game that has 120 characters with changing roles, dynamics, builds, and you are playing the most info heavy game
I
outside
guess
of
that
WoW
is true.
for a multiplayer game, in my opinion. This game has 20. You're starting off early. All the mechanics are just parts of games you already know how to play. The parry system, what's complicated about that?
Well,
You
it's
use
not
it
that
maybe
it's
twice a game.
complicated. Complicated is the wrong word, I guess I should use. It's that you have to try really hard just to play a normal game.
We are at
JP wants to press buttons and make things happen.
Yes,
I got a walking sim.
that's
to
why
sell you.
Hold on.
I went and played Diablo afterwards. I was like, yeah, this is
There's
This is
there's a
more
very
like-
there's a very important disconnect going on here, and that's that we're seeing two people argue different things. See, Jericho is arguing that you already know this stuff, like this should be easy for you, which he's right. But here's the problem, Jericho. You missed a very key word there. New. You see, he already knows all the League of Legends stuff, but all this new stuff, he ain't got time to learn things, Jericho. He
That
already
is
knows League of Legends. All this
Clear to
new
learn.
stuff. No. The remote to the VCR, we don't need to learn that. Okay, we don't need to learn it. We'll let the younger generation do it. The younger generation can play Deadlock, and he'll just go play League of Legends, and he'll be fine.
And
That
then
might be
that'll
true.
die
It's
off.
fine.
And
It's fine. Yeah, sure.
It might be true.
I look, I understand that this is a game that I've not recommended to some of my friends who've been like, yo, should I play this? I'm like, you don't like these kinds of games. Like it looks pretty, but I'm like, you don't like you're playing New World and Rocket League. Like this
Well,
ain't for you, bro.
What do you mean by that? That like it's a MOBA, or what is the
It is-
when you
this is-
say you don't like these type of games? What does that mean?
This game to me is 80% MOBA. It's an 80% Dota style
Competitive.
MOBA
Right?
where
Hyper-competitive.
where
Yes.
team-based, competitive, you need to know about map positioning, lane stalling, pushing, like when to buy, when to back, when to engage, how to do, camps. And these are things that you don't learn quickly if you've never played a MOBA, but these are pretty like good common things if you played Smite or League or Dota or anything in the past. So when I say this ain't for you, I just mean like, look, if you're not predisposed to MOBA, this is going to take a considerable, like a lot more effort for you to get comfortable to just play the game and learn about how to be better or what you've done wrong. When, if you've played these before, like it was pretty easy for me to realize like, oh, I need to lane stall because early game I'm weak. Like I can't fight this character. I can't dive or whatever. But that's like an instinctual thing that you don't have if you play Rocket League all day.
Right.
You don't understand the lane dynamics.
As somebody who probably has the most hours in it, Jericho, is this a game for gamers or is this a game for MOBA players?
What's the difference? I
Yeah,
think
what- what does that
no.
mean?
What I'm saying is it somebody who doesn't have any idea what a MOBA is going to have any chance in this game? Like, or is it designed from the ground up for MOBA players?
Yeah, I would say it's designed for MOBA players, but I think that people like Shroud, who maybe aren't MOBA heavy players, are going to get very comfortable in this because the MOBA aspects are more about positioning and lane pressure and stuff, things that you probably did in other games, Respawn games, even Call of Duty. But like when people think MOBA, most of them are thinking top-down RTS movement system. That is a movement mechanic. It's hard for people who don't use it to get used to. This is, look at how it's a third-person shooter. Like I'm just playing a game like I normally would. So you're already removing that barrier of entry. You're just talking about hypothetical situations and how you apply pressure, how you fight. Anyone can learn that. It's way less scary than learning left click only move. WASD doesn't do anything. I think that it appeals to more people who play video games in the 3-dimension versus RTS is a very specific style of camera that we grew up on in the 90s and early 2000s.
Awesome. And similar line of question, did you play a lot of Smite? And is this a completely different thing or like an evolution of it, if you did?
I did play Smite. I mean, candidly, I only played because we have a skin in the game. So I'm not like well vested in like the gameplay besides just the 20 hours that I played. This is way more Smite than anything else, but I don't feel like a lot of people played it, myself included, enough to give a comparison to it outside of the third person. This is way more shooty than Smite in that sense. And Smite feels more this feels more geared and weighted towards Dota's everybody's OP at some point, and it's not, you're never going to be like, dude, how do I escape that? Like you died, the end. And you're also capable of that if you just realized it or did better,
Cool.
Yeah, very much Dota. I will 100%.
Still got to try
agree
this
with that.
game. It looks
It's-
awesome every time I see it.
Like I talk about how I don't want to try and play it, but I'll fucking probably boot it up tonight. I think ultimately the biggest deal for me is that the MMR in the game right now is like the people that are playing this game are the like super tryhard people from other genres. They're not the normies. And I need the normies to jump in here to where I can actually like, feel like I have a sense of power
You need some
the
pub
average
stomping,
player
JP.
base-
Yeah, I need to
You
pub
need some
stomp.
pub stomping.
Because
You need to
right
pub stomp some
now-
people. Got to
right-
build that confidence up.
Right now, I load in.
Yeah.
I load into
Oh
a
my
fucking
God.
game, and the first wave comes, and they deny every fucking creep, and I don't get a single creep, and it's just like, oh, it's gonna be one of those games. And then it's just
Melee
30
them.
minutes of me getting my fucking ass blasted.
Yeah, look, I will say that that's the biggest problem that this game and other games face. My games are averaging 40 minutes. Like a 30-minute
They're
game
long.
is a stomp,
Yeah.
right? They're long. And there's a lot more swinging back and forth between who's in the lead and your ability to win, maybe just because nobody knows what the hell they're doing 100% of the time. But I can already see the soul-crushing losses that happen after 55 minutes of this.
Oh,
It almost
totally.
makes me be like, damn, that's not very friendly. Like playing this game is not very time friendly.
And there will never be an
I think
FF.
the big
in
phrase
this.
these days is it doesn't respect your time.
Dota
It
doesn't
does
give a
not.
fuck about your
It does
time.
not
It
respect
never has.
your
Yeah.
time.
It's not.
Yeah, Dota's never respected your time. They still, the only way to surrender in Dota is if you have a full stack of team and you can only do it after 30 minutes in game. Otherwise, you're locked in for however long that game is, unless you want to leave. And there are huge penalties for leaving because they do not want you to leave. So, yeah, we'll see how this. I mean, it's probably going to do pretty well, right? Because like Dota found an audience, and I think that audience is the amount of people that I've seen that fell off of Dota because it's, you know, they've reinvented aspects of Dota, but ultimately you're still gonna be playing the same game. The amount of people that did that and now are getting access to this, and they're like, we're so fucking back, dude, because it's a new game that they can learn with the same people that they learned Dota with.
I will say the communal aspect of this is probably my favorite because it appeals in part to so many different styles of gamers.
I would agree.
And, you know, right? And also the 6 people. I've gotten full 6 stacks with Flom and friends, and it's like that feels very old game centric, where you've got a lot of people, not 4.
It feels like the
right?
Overwatch
Like,
stacks that we used to do back
Yeah,
when that game was
exactly.
big. Yeah.
And I think that there's a huge difference between four friends and 6. Like sometimes I don't want to be speaking, and you've got 3 friends carrying the entire conversation. It's like a more communal aspect. So I really do like it for that.
Yeah. It's also really hard with 6 though, if they're all in Discord to communicate with Elaine. That gets real complicated.
Yeah, very confusing.
Because most of the time it'd be like, hey, I'm over at blue. Do you need help in purple? And then it's dead fucking silence because no one knows.
Nobody knows what lane
they
they're
are.
in. Yeah, that's true.
So they got to like catch up on all that. But yeah, the game's doing very well. It seems to be the hype at the moment, and it's still closed invite and probably every bit of a year, if not more, out from release. The other really, I don't want to say frustrating aspect of it, but they patch this game like every 30 minutes. And I'm not talking about like, I'm not talking about like small patches. I'm talking like massive, like, oh, this hero has like an alt attack now. Have fun. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, they added wall running and ropes like 2 nights ago. And I just logged on and I was like, why is there a rope here? And then somebody just Naruto runs across the side of the building. And I was like, what the fuck happened? Like,
yeah,
literally. But it's fun. That's like why, you know, I know people are going to meta slave and take it way too seriously, but part of the fun is being
100%.
involved in something that's changing like this. And it makes me feel like there's not a real, you know, like if I lose a game because there's new mechanics and stuff, it's not like painful. I'm not like, why do you guys keep changing the finished product?
Yeah, it's definitely a real point. It's also really cool to like be a part of a game that is willing to make those wild, crazy changes that fast. Like if you look at the patch notes for the past week, it's a completely different game. Oh, honestly, like there's teleports across the entire map now. There's brand new buildings. They've just added so much to it. It's such a rapid pace that I would say the majority of people that have played like an online shooter have never experienced anything like that to the core gameplay loop.
And I I would go so far as to say that my first impression and my second and third impressions, if that's possible, to this game were really me trying to figure out, one, how to make content that's like appealing to other people, but also how to describe this game, because it's so much of everything and so little of one specific thing that I can only feel like comparing it to Dota is like the best way. But it does not feel in any way, shape, or form like Overwatch, because the characters have abilities, or it doesn't feel like, the shooting system. It really does feel like its own thing. And I'm shocked that, through somebody's passion project and a whole bunch of shit crammed together, this came out, because it really does feel like an obvious game that should have been made, but not to this level and this polished so early on.
Yeah.
I say early on, it's like what, 4 years or
So
however many years.
it's been in development for a while. Yeah, they were posting like alpha footage that used placeholder images from like Half-Life 2 in it, and like Left 4 Dead, and they kind of an amalgamation of all, amalgamation of all Valve games. Funny enough, that we're using different assets. So yeah, it was cool. I am curious to see when this comes out. If have they said if it's free to play? Have they said anything like that, Jericho? I would imagine it's going to be, but.
Well, you say that, but then I thought about monetization, and there's no real like, we're gonna do skins. Okay, that could make sense. I would be happy at a $20 price point for this too, like Counter-Strike originally was, till they figure out how to actually monetize it in a way that's not like, pay $20 and lock this new hero kind of thing. That would be miserable. But yeah, it should be free to play if they want it. The most players, free to play, lower the bar entry, and make money somehow else. I don't know.
Yeah.
Put cases in. I don't care.
Well, Ice Frog has never been the monetization guy, right? Like he makes the games. I don't think he was ever responsible for putting hats in Dota. That was Valve or whoever at Valve. Like,
that'll be whatever ROI team they've got over there in Valve.
Yeah. They'll somehow put fucking gambling cases into this. And
Valve, if you're listening,
I
need to get in there. All right,
make a fucking killing on it. So
I want a music hit in Deadlock, Valve.
There. Oh yeah, you want to get the night mode?
Let's run it back. Let's do them all.
All right. You have one in Counter-Strike? Is that okay? That's what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We have 7 songs in Counter-Strike.
Nice. So yeah, that's the Deadlock update. I'm in a love-hate relationship with it now. We'll see where I am next week. Tune in to see if the boomer becomes a zoomer. I don't know what I'm saying.
bad tagline.
Yeah, that's the.
We're gonna need to pull that back and workshop it.
We're gonna workshop. Okay, yeah, we'll get Zeke in on it. We'll have. Well, he might not help, but let's not do that.
Let's let him burn a little longer.
Let's move it. Let's move forward. Yeah, let's move forward. What else is out there? I saw this. Co, this is thrown to you and Dan as well. The Stalker 2 devs joke that developing it was, quote, a really bad business idea. Do you guys know the full why he was saying this, or like where this came from as I'm reading the article in real time?
I have not read that article, but I mean, Stalker games have always been very niche. They've never been massive sellers, especially outside of their countries. So I mean, that's the only thing I can imagine. I'm assuming. I don't know what in reference they're talking to. I mean, they just develop a game through a war. So, like, is it related to that? Or, like, I don't, yeah. It would depend on what perspective the article's taking.
So this was at Gamescom.
They also had to relocate. They had to, like, change actual physical locations. Yeah, that, like, twice, I think? I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah. Videogamer.com was the interview. They spoke at Gamescom. And it was, I don't know what his title is at the company. But essentially the full quote is, it was an ambitious game from the beginning. Then we got COVID. Then we got war. Then we got relocation. Then we had fire in Prague. Then we had Russian hacks. Then we got delays. So I just covered 7 years in my head and I was thinking, damn, it was really a bad business idea. Every delay cost a lot for us. 5 delays, the budget is way more than it was to start. For me, when we delay, we understand the reaction. We understand people are tired of waiting. You really want it to release as well. We just do what's necessary. We're on the finish line. It's about delivering the vision and experience now. So
I can't believe that this game is coming out after like the war and COVID. Like they are Microsoft being the one funding them is like going to be their saving grace, because Microsoft can be very patient about stuff like that, because it's not, none of that's their fault. It's just like it just happened after they started, and there's not much they could do about it. And I just hope that the game hasn't suffered because of that, because we haven't got to play it yet. I just hope it turns out as good as we're hoping it's going to be.
Yeah. All the previews are very positive. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just keep in mind these are the developers of Stalker, so manage your expectations.
yeah,
That's what I'm trying to say.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That is.
What do you mean?
What do we mean?
No, I
have
know
you-
what you mean.
Okay, I was gonna say, have you played Stalker?
I have. I even tried to play. They had like a Tarkov mod spinoff, I think, that a lot of people ended up playing too, which is really cool. But I mean, like JP said, it looks really good from what we're seeing, and I loved the idea of Stalker 1, so I'm looking forward to it. But I mean, just as long as they don't keep delaying it unless they have to, in which case, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll play it.
Grave Salad in chat says, I played it at PAX. It's very Metro feeling.
Oh,
that's good.
That's the right thing to say.
That's the
There
right
we
thing
go.
to say.
Okay.
That's
Grave
good.
Salad.
That is the right
Put
thing.
it on the back of the box.
What I expect.
Yeah.
That is wild. Like, as I was reading that, it started like COVID, war, relocation, Russian hacks, like a fire. That's crazy shit. That's absolutely crazy shit.
It goes back to what Dan said. I mean, the fact that this game is coming out is a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, to think that they've maintained the workflows and everything they've needed to, and those plates have continued spinning. That machine has been running the entire time is wild. Those are some driven people, man.
Totally.
If I stub my toe on the way to work, I'm not going to work that day.
Very true. Very true. Gearbox has put out the Risk of Rain 2 expansion, Seekers of the Storm, and PCGamer.com reports that it's, quote, a full-on mess. Apparently it's rough. Everyone in chat is just oofing. The PC, I guess the developer admitted that, quote, it's in a really bad place. So, like, it's just...
It's never good. Like, guys, we
Dev
kind
said
of messed
that?
this one up.
Yeah. Holy shit. I didn't. Wow.
So, what exactly is the progression of this? So, apparently Risk of Rain 2 was finished, but instead of, like, moving on to the next project, they sold the game to another developer. And now that developer is dropping the ball.
Yeah.
And now everyone is mad at the original devs for selling it, as well as the new devs for dropping the ball. Is it just like a cyclone of hate?
I
at
didn't
this
catch
point?
that. The last part of it, I didn't realize that they were mad at the original devs for selling. I guess if you're like a big fan of Risk of Rain, that sure. I look at that as like, fuck it, they got paid and good for them. Like, I hope they're able to make some more stuff.
I think the big issue that people are running into is your game was fine when it was done, and we could have all just kept enjoying it, but instead you wanted to make even more money off of us, so you sold it to Gearbox, and now they screwed up the good time we all bought.
I don't think that's fair, man. You make a good restaurant and you decide to sell the restaurant because you don't want to deal with the restaurant anymore. Get mad at the new owners for ruining the restaurant. Like, you can harbor some resentment for them giving up on the project, I guess. But
What if
I
the new
also
owners poison a whole bunch of people and they kept the name that you've been fostering goodwill for a decade?
I'd be mad at the new owners
a
for
bad
sure.
game and poisoning.
Yeah.
I don't...
What if they murdered 20 people, Jericho?
I
And
would,
then-
This is
and then
Applebees
when
all
after-
over again.
No. I'm wondering, I see what you're saying, but like in that thing, it's like, do you close the restaurant down or do you sell the name? And then in that case, and that's like with any brand, like any brand comes to the end of its life. Do you sell it or do you try to like maintain the goodwill of we had a good run kind of thing? So
Yeah.
I guess I don't understand. Did they?
So
did
here's
they-
the issue. Because
they sold the IP to Gearbox, and Gearbox released content that is so bad that you cannot even
broke the
play
original game.
Yeah, it broke the original. So the thing that people paid for from the previous devs, they're now like,
doesn't work.
We're mad at you because we bought this from you and then you sold it to someone else and they broke it. But if
Yeah.
you hadn't have sold it and would have just let us have what you sold us, then we would have been fine. So I see where you're coming from, though, and that's a good point
Tough
too.
one.
So
The details are that the Seekers of the Storm update tied Risk of Rain's 2 physics system to its frame rate.
Classic.
Oh God.
Need for Speed classic.
So the Gearbox developer GBX Preston in Discord said FPS-related issues, quote, "and all the ramifications on balance, physics, attack, speed, movement, etc. were not intentional. This is our top handful of issues we're investigating. The team is aware of the problem
my
and is
God.
actively working on it, but for now, playing at 60 will deliver the expected behavior for most of the issues that arrive for this bug."
Imperior
That's fine.
Fortis just mentioned they merged console and PC codebase as a free base update, making console main codebase and forcing everyone into it. Community collectively down patching their games now in order just to play.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So
It's a
the
mess.
console is probably locked at 60 is why why it works, right? Because that's
Oh.
yeah. He also acknowledged
also-
that the PC version of Risk of Rain 2 is, quote, "in a really bad place," end quote, following the update. Quite a thing to admit, really, and encourage players to report any bugs they discover. So that's where that quote came from.
Yeah. Also, real quick, Irma Get 92 says a lot of the community as of now is in agreement with the OG devs. So maybe that has since come
See?
and gone.
Yeah.
The ire there. So that's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
I think
Yeah.
it was just
What-
misplaced people not knowing they sold it to Gearbox and wondering why the game, because most people aren't keyed into that stuff. You know what I mean? So they're probably like, "What the hell?"
Mhm.
Yeah. Load up the game and it just doesn't fucking work at anything other than 60 FPS. Yeah.
It reminds me of Applebees. Applebees used to be one of the best restaurants ever in the early 2000s.
And then they tied it to FPS.
Oh,
and they sold it to another company, and then they have ruined it.
Dude,
Now it's
that
like
happened
That's true.
garbage.
Happened to Whataburger. Happened to
And-
Whataburger. I
Yeah.
fucking hate it.
Blinka has the good point. I don't think it's fair to complain to the original devs. What if Gearbox had done something fantastic with the game? Would anyone have gone back and congratulated the devs for selling? So that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
true.
I feel like it is weird. It's an interesting thing to add in the software component though. Like, when is software done? Like, it's kind of like art almost in that way, which does add an interesting angle to it. But I will say that I'm definitely starting to agree more completely with I mean, it's their game. They can do what they want with it.
Depends
right?
on how
At the end of the day.
depends on how you want to flip it. Back in my day, you just got the disc and that was that. It's like
That's true.
they weren't like, "Whoops."
Yeah.
Like, we'll fix that for
Yeah.
you. It was just like, shit.
Mhm.
I like how making bacon pancakes in my chat's like, so from this, was Applebee's locked at 30 FPS? What are we talking?
That's what
What's
that's what I'm saying. Once they unlocked the frame rate, everything went to shit. Those burgers got cooked way too quick. They're frozen in the middle. It was awful.
So, Iliasna, I think is how you pronounce that, in my chat, gave me a Reddit post from a user that basically runs down all of the issues within the game. They talked about like the merging update that you mentioned, Ko. But here are some bullet points as to what is wrong. Multiple character abilities lost huge portion of their functionality, frame rate issues aside. The final boss becomes immortal in their last phase. Some other bosses' attacks do no damage or cannot be interacted with anymore. Effects on items in multi-shop terminals are broken. Plugging in multiple controllers just wipes all of your save data. Probably a bunch more that I don't know because
What?
holy
Wait,
shit,
stop,
it is a
stop.
lot.
What was that last one? Hold on. No, everything. What?
Plugging in multiple controllers wipes all of your save data.
What an insane bug. What the hell?
That's
So now
crazy.
you're saying that nobody checked this at Gearbox before they deployed this?
I
Nobody
guess
plugged in
not.
Player 2 because they don't got friends.
Yeah, connecting
Were-
a second input
Were they all
device.
still in shock from the Borderlands movie release? Like, what
A
happened?
second input device.
That's an
meaning if you
established
plug in-
company.
If you plug in a controller to
Did they
your
hire the
PC,
Twitch
does that
app team? I'm sorry. Never mind. I'm done. I'm done.
Oh man.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Jericho.
No, you're
See,
fine.
same thing as the robots going away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damage and healing over time ticks become tied to frame rate. Damage ticks are tied to frame rate in general. Then it gets into all the different classes. Mercenary eviscerate becoming tied to frame rate, making it useless at low refresh rates. Freeze debuff now not properly working. Sometimes enemies can still attack while frozen. The new DLC character Seeker doesn't properly revive in multiplayer.
It would be
sometimes.
faster for you to tell
Man.
us what's working.
Yeah, this is wild stuff.
How are you even at the end, or does it keep going?
No, I mean, there's a bunch of posts that are just detailing all of it. I'm not going to go through all of it. That was just a handful that I picked out. That's crazy.
This is like two people standing outside of a building discussing how it could be architecturally more attractive while it's on fire. while they're standing in front of it while it's
Mhm.
burning. They're like, you know, that arch could be a little rounder, and it's just like smoke's pouring out of it and everything. Unbelievable. Like, how does that happen?
That's real crazy, man.
How does that happen?
Really crazy. I understand why people would be upset at the original devs now, knowing all those issues that are wrong. Yeah.
You know, all of them are like, you sold it to Randy. What did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah.
Like, this guy, it's a little bit on you.
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
Did he fool you with a magic trick? Like, why? Why did you sell it to Randy?
Whew. Rough stuff. Rough stuff. Speaking of Randy, he was at PAX and he showed a singular image of Borderlands 4.
Oh, God.
The
Was it on a
concept
thumb
art.
drive?
God damn it, Dan. The Borderlands 4 concept art and plot details were revealed. It will add 4 brand new Vault Hunters. And the devs want classes to add depth to the RPG mechanics, but not, quote, at the cost of complexity. We think it's important that we switch it up and not just do rote designs.
The screenshot was just a picture in his wall.
I don't want, we're not,
I'm not. Nope. We're gonna
Nope,
leave that
nope.
alone. Nope.
nope,
Mm-mm.
Bad chat.
Nope.
nope. Nuh-uh.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you're better off.
You are better off. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here are the 3 images that were shown, courtesy of IGN. That's it. It's just
Great.
these 3 images. Thanks,
Well, it's
Randy.
concept art.
Yeah.
They didn't really need to show everyone else. Everyone knows the Borderlands games. They know exactly what it's gonna be like. It's
Yeah.
like, come on now.
Yeah.
Not exactly gonna be reinventing the wheel.
I agree. Yeah. Not the first time they've done silly things at PAX, to say the least. What else has happened? Hideaki Itsuno has left Capcom. You might know him as the Devil May Cry guy. He was part of Dragon's Dogma, if not the creative or the director of.
Oh, calm down,
Dragon's
guys.
Dogma.
It's not a no situation. It's okay.
What?
Let JP finish.
We'll just read the announcement here. I have an announcement for all my followers. At the end of August 2024, I'll be leaving Capcom after 30 years and 5 months.
Yeah.
Thank you for your long-term support of the games and characters I have been responsible for. I hope you will continue to support Capcom's games and characters. From September, I will start developing a new game in a new environment. I hope to create fun, beautiful games that are memorable as, or even more memorable than the ones I have created so far. Please stay
There it
tuned
is.
for my next creation, Hideaki Itsuno.
Somebody who is incredibly talented and has made some of our favorite games over the years is leaving AAA to start a smaller studio and make their own awesome vision. We
Oh,
call that
good
a
for him.
win.
Yeah, I think that's a win.
That's just a win. That's a win. Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And
A lot of former Blizzard devs been doing that. Like, it's a much easier work environment. They get to make the game they want without too much overhead. Good
Yeah.
for him.
that's where the creativity gets to flow.
I guess the concern, if there was one, is depending on like who he goes with for publishing. Obviously, a company like NetEase is very out there in terms of throwing money around and
Very
funding.
attractive.
Very attractive, yeah. So he hasn't announced who he's going to go with or how he's going to handle it or any of that yet. But the
And it's
fear is
also-
that it'll be something like that.
Think of Ghost recently. I mean, not only did we have big companies like NetEase trying to come in, but I mean, they're getting projects that you would never normally associate with them in any way. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see.
God, he worked on so many games. I was just looking. He's known for Street Fighter Alpha, Rival Schools, Power Stone, Devil May Cry, Dragon's Dogma, Capcom vs. SNK, let alone all of the DMC games that are in there. I think he made Devil May Cry 2, and then I think he like didn't. What did he?
Oh,
He made
well,
3 to 5. Is that what it was? Or he stopped
Looks
making
like
3
it.
to 5?
somebody just brought up an interesting thing though. They said don't expect him to get any NetEase money, and that's actually very true. I mean, we
what?
know NetEase money.
Oh, NetEase.
We know that's probably true because NetEase just basically pulled out of Japan. So funny enough, I think they're looking to avoid this kind of exact situation from the sounds of it. Of
Oh,
new
that's
studios
right.
looking
Yeah,
for a lot
that's-
of money. Yep.
Yeah, we'll get.
I don't know if you heard about this, Jericho. They released Visions of Mana, the big new like Secrets of Mana follow-up.
Yeah.
Studio was closed the day before the game came out because NetEase is pulling out all of their funding from Japan. So like,
Oh
That's
my god.
petty,
Yeah.
bro.
Dude,
yeah.
Ouch.
I saw there was this might have happened to, I think Dan and Co, you guys both did sponsored streams for it, or I know Co did. There was a streamer that was doing a sponsored stream for it, and he was about an hour in, and his chat told him that the studio just closed while he was in mid-sponsored stream for the game.
I would be like, so do you guys want me to finish this RFP or?
Well, no,
can I-
he just kind of like, am I still gonna get paid?
Yeah.
Like, what's happening? Yeah,
Well,
it was Pat Stairs at
Oh.
the YouTuber.
Oh, Pat! Oh, it's funny.
Oh, man.
I just followed him on Twitter recently. But no, the interesting thing about this is that even though NetEase funded the development company, the publisher is Square Enix.
Yeah.
So like, it's this weird situation where like they pulled the funding from the studio and closed it down and are now like leaving Square Enix with this brand new game that is obviously never going to get support anymore. No more patches. I mean, they shut the studio down. No DLC, nothing. So it's just like, I can't imagine a world where Square Enix isn't furious over this. Unless they've somehow profited off it and are involved in it somehow, which, I mean, let's be real, they probably are. But from an outside perspective, this looks crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And I also, like, I wonder what that means for the future of the game, because it's like,
I mean,
it's got to have
part- I mean,
patches, right? Like, they're
Yeah.
maybe
Ooh.
it's shipped. I don't know.
Who's going to make them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know.
I mean, literally, they
No one left.
divested from the devs. And like at this point, Square Enix may be the only people making money off it. So unless they decide, like of course we don't know how the deals work, but I mean the fact that they pulled all the funding out of the studio is very telling.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd be curious to see how, because they're making the decision to cut all ties with this and leave it out to dry. Did they expect no recoup on it? Like, was the what urgency did they need to leave Japan with to like reconcile with the fact that they're not going to make money off of this anymore? And also, does this leave Square Enix in an interesting position where they could just hire the studio devs and have them, you know, kind of work on a short contract period to support the game that they are already invested in releasing?
Yeah. Who could say?
So the big thing is that and I'm sorry, it was the day after the game release, not the day before they shut it down, which is even crazier because they didn't even wait to see if it was going to make the money. Like anyway, but the point is that this thing with Oka, and I'm saying that wrong, but this is their exit strategy that they've been employing for like over half a year. So this isn't them starting an exit strategy. This is like the tail end of them divesting.
Oh,
So it's I think even though it may seem kind of crazy to us, and it does look crazy, it may make more sense in a larger scale context in terms of like they're just being like, and it says like Pocket Gamer.biz wrote an article where they're saying right here, according to Bloomberg, who reported that both companies are now scaling back their Japanese studio investment, citing years of spending, which have produced few hit games. Meanwhile, the once stifled Chinese market has been slowly making a comeback with high-profile overseas spends, making high-profile overseas spends look like folly. So they're basically seeing all this other success in different avenues, and they're just like, this thing we've been doing that hasn't really been working, we're just going to cut our losses and get out. So that goes to your question, Jericho. Do they care about recouping the costs? They may have
clearly
made
not.
that decision months ago.
They-
Yeah.
No, that sounds like the most transparent thing that you could possibly say, saying we're getting the bag from China and you know, and other markets, and therefore we literally don't have to care about this anymore. I mean, you know, you would at least try and recoup something or have somebody in place to kind of manage it at least throughout a year or some way to kind of smooth over if they cared about earning money. But like, why would you as a gamer buy that game then? And why would, anybody work on it?
And the worst part, I'm not an anime guy. I'm not into cutesy anime games. But at the end of my 2-hour sponsorship, I said clearly, those are the two reasons that I would not play this game. Like, this game ran well. It was fun. You dropped in and out of combat quickly. It was fully voice acted. Every character has like 8 different classes, and they all have unique stuff, and you can move items between them to unlock different classes. Like, I got to the end of this game and I was like, I wish I was more into this cutesy anime stuff, because that is the reason I'm not going to want to play more of this. Everything else is good.
Yeah.
And it sucks that like something of this quality that I think anime fans would love are releasing in this state.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, man, like it's
So
unfortunate.
I'm not an anime fan or anything, but I was playing this game off stream last night, and I'm curious what controller did you use, by the way? Co. Were you using an Xbox?
Yeah.
Did it work fine for you?
I
Because like
think so.
in some menus, the A and B buttons wouldn't, like, I had to sit there and like press it like 5 or 10 times. And I was like, is my controller broken? And so I started Googling. Apparently this is an issue with the game where, like, for whatever reason, if you use a Elite Series 2, the A and B buttons just like don't work in certain menus. And then I was like, I'll just wait for a patch.
controllers. Okay.
And I'm not going to get a patch for that. So I'll probably have to hook up like a PlayStation controller because apparently it works.
Horror.
We call them plebeian controllers.
Yeah.
I played a
plebeian
little
controller.
bit of this offline, just to test how it ran and stuff. And all the cutscenes are in 30 FPS.
Yeah.
But if you double press F11, it unlocks every cutscene. You just have to do it for every cutscene. You hit F11 twice and it unlocks it to whatever your frame rate is, like 144. But you gotta do it for every single cutscene.
There you go. Okay. F11.
And that'll never get patched because they're shut down.
That's fucking awesome. Thank you for telling me that.
You're welcome. Just
That'd
gotta
be
press
great.
it twice really quickly.
There are a lot of cutscenes, and the main gameplay actually looked fantastic and was unlocked. So, like, having the jar of going between 30 and fluid was very weird. So that's actually a great tip.
Yeah. This is literally right where I stopped playing. Last night.
This is that character was when I officially knew. And if you go back and look at my face, you will see the moment this game became. No, it's before that when I first saw the character. That was the moment I knew this game was too much for me. Like in this, I met this character and I was just like, this has to be one of the most, like, his name is like Bromander and he like throws fire. And, oh, it's Salamando. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is this I'm playing?
Yeah, it's Salamando.
But the thing that drew me back in is the fact that the main character has the same hairstyle as the Secret of Mana guy, like 20 years ago, and I love it. Like every time I see him, I'm just get hit with a nostalgia.
Yeah, it's
slap to the face. It's
I'm
fantastic.
very interested in the because I played the opening. I'm very interested in like where the story goes because it's not necessarily like, even though it looks very cutesy and happy, like the story is about literally just sacrificing yourself.
The story is
for
about
the
human
gods.
sacrifice, about acknowledging and accepting what that means.
Yeah.
about somebody who apparently got an entire nation murdered because of his selfishness at the beginning of the game, and then just I don't want to spoil it. Needless to say, I will say that when I said this game was too anime and cutesy for me, I made a specific point that I liked where the story was going. Like that part was actually really interesting. It looked like it was gonna ask a question where there is no right answer. And how they deal with that in the cutesy art, this cutesy world, is very interesting because like you can't say either of the answers to that question is the right one. There's not a good guy and a bad guy.
Well, the answer, Co, is that you kill God at the end, probably.
Oh, of course. There we go. Okay.
That
Just like most JRPGs.
You
Okay.
kill the God.
You kill God and make your own rules.
Yeah, you make your own. You kill a god and you make.
Well, the god replace him. Easy.
That's how it goes.
I like it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Glad we established that nice and early.
Yeah. Anyways, that's Visions of Mana. Out now, but the devs are also out. So I don't know how to check it out if you want to.
The saddest of trombones right now. Like the actual saddest trombone.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll see a Tango situation with them. I mean, it's only been a few days, so hopefully we'll see somebody sweep in and be like, yeah, that was egregious and shitty, and we're gonna clean up a little bit after that.
I would love to know, because it happens a lot here with like Western devs in terms of, the devs actually come out and like talk about things that happened. I would love to know what that dev team, someone on that dev team is thinking, like if they knew this was the plan all along, like how long ago they were told that the studio was going to shut down, if they showed up for work on Thursday and were like, guys, we launched a game, and like people are packing up their desks. Like that's a story that I would just love to know more of how it all went down. But we probably won't ever like hear that because it's just a cultural difference.
It is interesting to think that we do know for a fact that behind the scenes stuff has been happening for months, maybe even years.
Yeah.
Like somebody had to know that. Like that is not a normal work environment.
Right.
I think we'd be hearing more if it was the opposite, to be honest. If it was that everyone walked in and got fired that day, I think that'd be the story.
Yeah.
So now I'm interested. Like that is a weird situation. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the show Succession on HBO?
Yes, I watched a couple seasons of it. I haven't finished it.
There's a scene where a guy's dad is going to shut down this company. So his son goes to the company and is like, okay, he's going to shut you down, but I need you guys to brainstorm, write out your best ideas, how you can save money, how you can your best ideas for projects, because I think if I'm going to bring this to him and try to convince him to save the company. So they all scramble and they try to do all this in one day. And then once they turn it all in, he's like, okay, now you're all fired. You can go home. I got the best out of you. And you guys are like, he goes to dad's like, I got the best ideas out of them. And now they're all shut down.
Yeah.
There you go, Dad.
We call that the Twitter approach.
Yeah. That show is it's both hilarious and also sad.
Yeah.
Because it's so
everyone on the show is a
happens
pure
all the
villain.
time.
It's
Yeah.
great if you don't mind that.
Yeah, there's no winners at all in that show. Is there any other news? Let me just do a quick scan, and then if not, we can throw to Jericho to talk about COD before we jump into the Star Wars conversation. I don't think there's anything else. I'll wait to see if chat is one to discuss anything. Avowed put out a 30 FPS on console statement. I think we discussed that a little bit last week. Andrew Greenberg, the creator of Wizardry, passed away. R.I.P. Wizardry is responsible for, I don't know how many, how
It's
one of the most influential games from the 80s.
exactly the influence of that is obscene. Like
Yeah.
it's entire franchises have been built off Wizardry.
For sure. I think that's it. There was the Nintendo World, the Indie World, and Nintendo Direct. Sorry, I combined two things. That was on the 27th at like 7 a.m. Pacific. It was about 40 minutes long. Dan, I think you're the most Nintendo inclined folk here. Did you watch any of that, partake in any of that?
I didn't watch it because whenever they do an indie showcase, it's almost always, wow, would you like to play a game that came out 2 years ago at lower FPS and resolution than you played originally?
Yeah.
Come buy it on the Switch at full price.
Yeah.
He's aware.
They're putting, was it Yakuza? Which Yakuza was it? I think the first one, the remake of the first one on the Switch.
Oh, really?
Kiwami. They're going to put Kiwami on the Switch, which
Okay.
Oof.
I don't know how.
Yeah. It's going to probably look like the Mortal Kombat version.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go.
That's going to look funny.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
All we want is the Switch too. Like, we're just like waiting and it's like, come on, announce it already. That's all we want to see. Come on.
Yep. There was news at Gamescom that the PS5 Pro was basically like an open secret. So that will potentially ship maybe or announce this year, maybe launch next spring. So I guess get excited for a new PlayStation SKU.
Kojima tweeted a picture of him playing Death Stranding 2, and he had something that he was playing on, but he had to cover it up with a cloth, so people were assuming that he was playing on the PlayStation 5
Or it's
Pro.
just dev kit.
Oh.
Yeah, or just Dev.
Yeah.
Could be a dev kit.
Of course, the rumor mill was going like, ooh, it's a PS5 Pro.
Yeah. Blue Protocol. Speaking of games being
Canceled.
closed, yeah, it's being discontinued on January 18th, 2025 in Japan and will no longer release worldwide. And Amazon strikes out again with
Yep.
the title
Yet
that
again.
that they were trying to support. So Blue Protocol's out. And another game that is not doing so well, I suppose, Foamstars, which was the was that Square Enix?
Do not call it Splatoon, please.
Yeah, Splatoon Square Enix style. They will change its current regional pricing to a free-to-play title starting October 4th at 1 a.m. I don't know what
Okay.
time zone that is, but yeah, apparently it didn't do that well, which makes a lot of sense. I think that's it. Let's talk COD. Jericho, you've been playing Blop 6. That's the how do you refer to it? What's the community referring to it as? You're the Call of Duty guy.
Black Ops 6, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. It's another Call of Duty. Woo! It's that time of year again where I play the beta, and then I play the game on release, and then I play the campaign, and then I don't touch it again for 12 months. I grew up obviously playing Call of Duty. It was my main game when I started making content in 2009, and I thoroughly enjoyed the franchise all the way through. Like maybe Black Ops 4 is when it started to kind of like detach from what I enjoyed playing every day. And so hopping on this, just like the other Call of Duties, it's been a rough couple years. They had Sledgehammer Games, the third studio, had to give up their production for the game 2, I believe it was Treyarch, for a half game cycle for Call of Duty Cold War, which was Black Ops 5. And that game sucked, in my opinion. I mean, it just wasn't fun, right? It was standard Call of Duty movement, etc. And then they had, the next Call of Duty come out, and that game was not that fun either. And realistically, Warzone's carrying the franchise. It's what everybody plays. It's free to play. What this beta is traditional Call of Duty. You pay the $60 or $70 rather now.
Or Game Pass.
Or Game Pass, which is how I'm playing it, which is actually a great change. Because, look, I don't want to spend $70 for multiplayer. I want to play the campaign. I want to play zombies. That's it. That's where I'm at right now with it. It's too much of the same. We're going on 22 years of Call of Duty multiplayer like this.
Whew.
And
is that a release every year?
Yes.
Shut the fuck up. They put out 22 Call of Duties.
It might be 24 if you add all the games. I went through them all.
Is that real?
It's a conveyor belt. It's a money-making conveyor belt.
Assassin's Creed was doing that for a while too, but they stopped.
Yeah, holy shit. I know they put out one every year, but to think about it, there's been 20 Call of Duty releases. What the fuck?
So that's a lot, right? And so when people say like more of the same, realistically, I think Call of Duty changes more than any, Madden or FIFA, because the game is built on a different platform each time the dev switches, right? Infinity Ward has their own game engine, or they did up until now. It's on the unified engine, basically. So what is different about this game? It's cracked out TikTok Call of Duty. It's like literally the most ADHD, insane movement shit ever, and it breaks my brain sometimes. You can sprint in every direction, dive in every direction, slide in every direction. It's all about, being cracked, as the kids say. And I was really worried I would suck at this. However, this probably was the hardest game I played in the entire stream. Like I had like a 2 KD, 50 kills. It was not that hard. And I had some moments where I was like, man, that was actually really fun. Where you're moving around the map and you're being slippery and you're, kind of feeling like a superhero diving around and stuff. It did the same thing that Call of Duty used to do for me, where you feel kind of like larger than everybody else in the game. Something that I did not feel had happened previously in the last few Call of Duties. Main reason, the movement system does just add a little bit of that extra, well, that was pretty cool, moment that kind of makes up for the stagnation of these standard respawn game modes, which suck. They're so boring. I think for Call of Duty and for a lot of games, Halo Infinite, or any game that's built on a 20+ year idea of multiplayer, these games don't work well. Like these 8-minute, 12-minute 6v6 games where you don't ever really build a storyline. You never see these people again. You don't see your teammates again. You will be in a new lobby next game. The game's inconsequential. You're doing it to level up a gun so you can get gun skins. Like there's not that, like gaming as a whole, those games don't give you that feeling like winning a battle royale or winning a one-on-one fight in a fighting game or something like that. And so I feel like that's what Call of Duty's been missing, a way for you to be like, oh hell yeah, that was sick, or I feel like I gained something important. So I'm looking forward to Search and Destroy. I will never touch any of the respawn game modes, and I don't think that era of Call of Duty is important anymore. It's all about Warzone. How does the game feel in Warzone, and how much money are they going to make on Warzone? But I do think that they're actively putting effort into the competitive space more so than they ever have. Treyarch is the best of the 3 devs. If you like Call of Duty, you probably will like this. If you don't like Call of Duty, you will absolutely hate this. And if you don't really play Call of Duty often, but you have Game Pass, totally worth a download. I mean,
The
It
amount
really
of-
is fun.
Yeah, the amount of people in my chat that haven't played COD for a decade, but have Game Pass that have been like, yeah, I checked out Call of Duty, I downloaded it, I played it for 30 minutes. Still Call of Duty, but like they played it. I think this
Correct.
could be like a pretty big release just because of that.
The barrier of entry being lowered to Game Pass was one that I felt, and I'm a streamer that does this for a job, so it doesn't really matter if I buy a game or get a code, but I was like, oh, I can just get it on Game Pass real quick. And that was like, oh, there's more people like me that will be doing that, because the thought of spending full price on a game I absolutely know I will not recoup on, just in terms of like personal enjoyment, is bad.
Yeah.
And so, the fact that I'm getting zombies, which will be really fun with my friends, and campaign, which I always have enjoyed, especially with Treyarch, like those are the things that matter to me most. And multiplayer is just a way for me to figure out how the game will feel when I play the other game modes. To me, like that's simply it. And what content can I get from it? And they did a really good job too. The Treyarch devs know the funny clips get the people into the game. So when you take a player hostage,
Yeah,
which you
I
can do
heard
now
about
in this
this.
game, you can talk to them and they can hear you and talk back. And so I
Oh
spent,
my god.
any opportunity I got, take a guy hostage, start whispering to him in his ear. They're yelling like, put me down. It's just like, it creates moments that you really enjoy as a content creator. And even if you're just messing around with your friends, it's important to have those moments outside of like, I'm running and gunning. Because if you have one funny clip in a game you're getting stomped in, it kind of makes up for the fact that you
Totally.
got stomped.
Yeah.
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 I saw a
Big
clip
time.
of there's no S&D in this, right? It's only the respawn modes
For the beta.
for the
Correct.
beta.
For the
Okay.
beta, it is only
Yeah, so then
the
it-
sweaty ones.
It was just like a respawn game then, or whatever is in the beta. And two teammates grabbed two enemies, and they basically kept smushing them together, and they were just like, "Oh, you gonna kiss? Are you gonna kiss this guy? Are you gonna kiss this guy?" And I was just like, "All right, Call of Duty's that's it. That's funny. That's a funny thing."
Yeah, they really do get it. And it's important that they lean into this, because you can't keep something the same for 20 odd years, and you can't keep appealing to the same demographic. This is not the Call of Duty that I grew up on.
Yeah.
Nor is it the Call of Duty that I even prefer to play. Like, there is no bare bones pro mod that I played in Call of Duty 4 and fell in love with Call of Duty. This is a completely different game, and that's okay. You can't go into this expecting it to be the game that you played when you were 18, because you're never going to get that feeling again, ever, no matter what. The
Mhm.
game space is different. Your friends aren't there in the same way. Like, you're chasing a high that you're not going to get. So you have to look at this from a, in this moment, how do I feel about it? And for the first time in a couple years, it gave me those like exciting feelings to have a good moment in a game. I'm still comfortable saying I will not play this game after a week when the launch comes out, unless I get good content and
Yeah.
like can have fun in Search and Destroy. And then fuck yeah, it feels good to play, and that's what matters.
Well, I would assume you can still take people hostage and search and destroy, right? Like that.
Correct.
That in itself could be
Yeah.
pretty fun content.
Yeah, I mean, Search is more built for that, because you get to spectate your friends, and it's more about individual stuff. So, I mean, same thing as Counter-Strike. I just prefer the more tactical gameplay, game modes now, because I'm a boomer, I guess.
Kind of a random side question. So one of the things you just said is like, you'd still play it, because of the content. Is it the kind of thing where if you think you weren't streaming, would this just no longer be something for you?
When I use the word content in this aspect, I use it in the like, even if I wasn't recording, I'm talking about like, did I
just
have a moment
enjoyable
that was like
content?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like what
We're
was
good.
the
Okay,
content
okay.
that me, I think that there's a lot of things that are approachable, not just, hey, I make TikTok videos, or hey, I make YouTube videos, but like, yo, my friend, it was so funny when you did this thing in the game.
Okay.
And that's really what drives people to talk about a game positively. You can have content creators saying it's incredible, but like, if I can't go in there and do the same thing and feel the same way, what's the point? So everyone has that accessibility. It's not a perk. It's not like a thing you have to try hard to do. You're going to be behind somebody in a situation to take them hostage every game, basically. And it's making little moments like that are important for the content of general
Very
people,
cool.
like every day.
Yeah, I definitely thought you meant your stream, and I was like, man, that's some dedication, man. Damn. Get him, Jericho. Woo!
No. I mean, I definitely play
I don't have
games
fun, but
would
it's
never-
got content, so I'm there.
every supermarket sim game that I play for 9 hours, I'm like, I would never
Yeah.
touch this off stream, but I'm stacking boxes and loving it right now. Like it's
You and
Stream
Dan
games
both.
Well,
Yeah.
no, well, funny enough,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was wondering. I was kind of wondering, like, is it one of those games? I have those too, where it's like a game that's fun to stream, but this would bore the hell out of me if I was doing it solo. Like, so absolutely, I was kind of wondering if it was one of those things for you. Yeah.
No, I played only with myself phrasing on this day of beta. So I just, sweated it out solo. And I think that just like everything, if you play games with friends, it should be fun no matter what you're playing. So I just looked at it in terms of like, okay, I had enough fun as a solo boomer to enjoy myself here. So I'm just going to apply that to most people will probably have a similar experience. I will say, just like JP said, I lamented, you cannot turn your brain off and just, oh man, you can't just turn your brain off and play, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of be on and leaning
Dude,
forward, and that's
yeah.
exhausting for long periods of time.
You struck a nerve because I was thinking about how many times I've used that when we were talking about Deadlock. Because even in the new WoW, the World of Warcraft expansion, I still have refused to like level up and do things because I don't want to download mods. I don't want to like learn all of that shit. I don't want to like learn how to play my character. Like I don't want to learn. I just want to be mindless in those games.
I mean, I'm tired looking at myself moving around this game, and I was the one doing it, and my movement is bad. Okay, right?
Yeah.
So like watching the pros play Call of Duty Next and all these pro players, I get nauseated watching them play. They're moving in ways that are not good to experience as a viewer. And so like that's kind of a problem.
Mhm.
It's not that it's not impressive, it's just like there is a great filter event, and if you are capable of using this game and the movement the way they want you to, I hope I never see you ever again in a video game because you're like your brain works differently.
Those people are going to be in Deadlock, Jericho. I fucking guarantee it.
I already play against them. I hate it equally.
Yeah,
and then I'm locked with that. I'm in there for 50 minutes and I don't want to let the other people down with this. I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I'll never see you guys again.
Yeah. One of the other things I really, I don't know what the respect is what I was going to use for the first pass in my brain. I guess I'll stick with that. The way that they like invite the content creators for like this massive beta, the like, or not even beta, but to play the game early for like their stream. Well, I don't even know what you call it, but
Yeah, it's a huge event. If you
it's
didn't
massive.
watch
It's crazy to see.
500, or I'm sorry, yeah. So I think it's 400 creators from all across the world. They fly them in from Brazil, from the Middle East, from everywhere. And I didn't go this year. It was in Washington, D.C. But like I've been to almost every of the other ones, and they really just use it as their big tentpole event instead of doing an E3 or Summer Games Fest, which they still do.
Yeah.
They know that they will just have 500,000 plus people watching the first gameplay you can possibly experience. And so I just watched him and other people play it on stream. It's such a great marketing thing. And for a creator, it's great to have. I mean, they take care of you. They give you the recording device. So most of us would just go home and record immediately after.
Yeah.
So I got nothing but good things to say about the way that they do their rollouts.
Yeah, it was a 9-hour, at least the official live stream was a 9-hour event. And everyone, like how many streaming booths do they have? You said they invited
400.
It's 400 streaming booths? Jesus Christ.
I think it was 4 streaming booths, and each one had a dual PC setup. The logistics are fantastic.
Here's a shot of the setup, which is
That's
fucking
one,
crazy.
so that's
hell.
one half of the room.
That's one half of the room.
The other room is more cubicle and has more of them.
That is
Yeah.
Crazy. to see
Ring
that
lights and
stuff.
everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a full
Oh.
setup. It's
Yeah.
fully there. It's really wild to see that type of stuff. It feels like what like BlizzCon used to be once upon a time. Funny enough, same publisher with Activision there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
This gets me nostalgic for old LAN parties when everyone would get together and
It
play
feels
together.
like it too.
Aw.
totally.
I mean, you can hear, it's funny because like depending on who you're sitting next to, you can hear people getting way too hyped because they're in a game against their friend or their pro player. So you'll hear people screaming
yeah,
like at other people from the next computer over. It does feel like it's a LAN event. It's a proper one.
yeah. It's pretty fun. I watched a little bit of some of the streams and seeing someone like Tim get into a lobby with like,
Yeah,
13
Aiden.
other sweats and then he just dies, and he's like, "Fuck you," and then he leaves the game. I'm queuing up with someone else.
Yeah.
It's like, it's kind of cool. It's kind of, there's a fun factor around that. So very interesting stuff to see. Where do you judge the success of COD, I guess? Like, what is a success now with Game Pass, Jericho, for you?
I don't really care what they do, but like I think that it's impossible for them to do worse than the last 2 cycles, in my opinion, just given the namesake of Black Ops, the true, additional stuff that they've paid attention to, the community in general really liking the changes. Success will just probably be breaking all sales numbers again, making billions of dollars, and then I'm sure it still won't be enough. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah. I wonder like how they're gonna. The Game Pass thing is such an interesting. It changes their entire like marketing push after release, right? Like X amount of blah 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 sold. Because now with Game Pass, is it just like X concurrent players or X amount of unique players in X days?
They'll count downloads, right? They'll count
I
downloads,
guess,
and
yeah.
they'll do sales numbers and stuff. I think that the people that are getting captured by Game Pass are still like a tiny piece of the pie compared to the people that play Warzone. Like their whole goal is to onload you into. I could be wrong with my numbers, but I'm pretty sure if you looked up like the average Warzone players versus even launch day of the new Call of Duty, Warzone's probably still doing great. So they're just trying to funnel them into Warzone. You still need the Call of Duty app that you get from Game Pass that has Warzone in there, and you choose to not install it. So like the end game is get you to the $40 microtransactions for every gun skin, not the one-time $60 payment.
Yeah, you're probably right. That makes a lot of sense. That's where all the money is these days in the MTX aspect of it all. So it makes a lot more sense now why they would throw that on that, and they also own the company. But why they would throw it on Game Pass is to sell them on the MTX. How does that work if you? I guess if you don't sub to Game Pass, you lose access to the MTX.
What do you mean? No, there's no special thing for being in Game Pass, right? Game Pass is just a way for you to access the game. So you're not gaining any new microtransactions or access to anything.
No.
It's just saying.
I'm saying if you buy.
I think JP's saying if you buy Game Pass, buy a bunch of microtransactions, then stop paying for Game Pass.
The only thing that you're paying for, no matter whether it's Steam, Blizzard, whatever the hell, you're just paying for the game, the Call of Duty HQ to unlock. Everything launches Call of Duty's app. No matter what store you click the icon from, it just opens Call of Duty HQ like it would open Blizzard HQ. So you won't
lose anything.
So you're saying I could buy Game Pass. I could buy Game Pass for a month, download Call of Duty off Game Pass, immediately cancel my Game Pass subscription, and 4 months later be playing Call of Duty still.
No, because your Game Pass subscription will remove access to your account once your subscription runs out.
I think that's what JP was asking. So he's saying if you sign up for Game Pass, buy a bunch of cosmetics, and then cancel Game Pass so you no longer have access to it, how are they dealing?
You no longer have access to the game, correct?
Well, to the stuff you bought.
To the game, yes, which is the stuff you bought is in the game.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Which
it's like if you're literally saying if you stop paying for World of Warcraft, you have access to all your items. It's like, well, I don't know if you start paying again. Yes.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. I understand now.
Yeah, Warzone is free, by the way. Yeah, we're talking about the game itself, not Warzone is free. You can play Warzone anywhere for free, and you anything you got from your Game Pass will be on there.
Yeah. The last question. With the prestige system back.
Who cares?
You don't care at all. Are we gonna see the race? Nice. Is the race coming back, Jericho? Are we getting the race? Are we getting the race?
Oh my God, the race! I haven't thought about that for years.
Yeah, I know. Every year it comes up, and it's like, yeah, you and like 6 people lock yourself and stream 24/7 for 7 straight days, and
it's all the hotness these days. It's all the hotness, Jericho. They're just copying the greats, is all I'm saying.
This is true. No, I think it's great that everybody's doing their own version. I just wish people would do more of it for charity and less for just like the clout sake, which is kind of the whole point. But
Yeah. That's true. There will probably be some sort of like, 24-hour launch stream for all the COD pros or whatever. People
Yeah,
that are
I'll-
like COD creators that are in
Yeah,
that zone
they're all
will
stoked.
do that stuff without
Mhm,
question. So
mhm.
cool. Core Keeper 1.0 came out. We could probably be short on that. We talked a little bit about Core Keeper last week. It's good. Having fun with it. Any
Iscoaddicted.com.
Yeah, that's you're
That's where we
fully
are.
addicted.
I see
That's
you
where
on
we
there
are.
every day.
Yeah.
Yep. It's fantastic. I mean, the 1.0, the Core Keeper itself is already a really fun game. It's what I call it sandbox boss rush, which is the same thing that you would call like Terraria or V Rising or any of that kind of stuff. And Shrouded, Valheim. But it's a really great interpretation of that same thing. There's a bunch of interesting, unique bosses, tons to see and do, big progression paths down all fronts. Lots of unique items with unique effects. They've added pets, boats, go-karts. Like, this is a game that's had an incredibly active, verbose early access period where they have been constantly asking the community, what do you want? Here you go. What do you want? Here you go, for like 2 years. So now here we are at 1.0. It's not done. There is more stuff for the game, but they're doing a console release, so they're calling it 1.0. But even what's here is phenomenal. Like, there's 50 plus hours of stuff to work through. You can do solo, you can do a co-op, have your own server, you can adjust your server stuff. It can be easy or hard depending on how you want the experience to be. So it's a really awesome, fun indie game.
Yeah.
Strongly recommend.
I was told by a handful of folk that the game gets a little grindy at certain points, so it actually behooves you to play in a group to speed up that grind. Can you like comment on that?
So just like all survival games, a lot of times the progression is not only based on power level, but also just, sheer amount of materials. And this game is no different. Terraria does some of that as well, although not to this degree. I will say, as a solo player, the only time I've gotten to a point where it's like, oh man, this is a ton, is actually where I am now, where they want me to farm like 40 of these random items that drop off the ground. And that's a lot, considering I can get one of those like every few minutes of running around.
Huh.
But outside of that, everything else has been kind of like relatively intuitive. There are big farms, but I mean, you can set up like automated mining facilities and like do all that stuff, passively while you're off doing other things. So the game gives you lots of different, you can also have, there's full farming, fishing, all that stuff, all the stuff that you'd want in a game like this. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's been too much so far, but to be fair, I'm like 40 hours in and halfway-ish through the bosses that I can kill.
Jeez.
So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, maybe the end game stuff gets far more farmy. We'll see.
Yeah.
Is there anything in the game that you like wish was in the game, like that you hope they add in the future? Like that's something that's
tons.
kind of missing.
And I am constantly talking about how there's things in this game that I wish were there. Funny enough, I'm actually producing a game called Emberville, and a lot of the discussion has like become like, oh man, I really don't like this in Core Keeper, or I really like this in Core Keeper, and I'm gonna do like this in Emberville, or we're gonna do this in so like that's a big thing. But like one big problem is, for instance, there's no use item from inventory, which is like an essential thing if you don't want to constantly be organizing your hotbars, which you have to do. There's no dedicated slots for tools or machines, so you're again constantly having to deal with that. There's lots of little QOL things that Terraria has particularly, and also in some cases Valheim and V Rising. This game is just kind of not there yet on. They put in the summoning class right before 1.0. Awesome, I'm going to be a summoner. Yeah, there's 3 summon weapons in the entire game. So it's like stuff like that. Like it needs a little more cook time in some regards, and there's some kind of major design things that need to be implemented. But that being said, what's there is still amazing, and it is still fully playable in its current state and everything. It just needs a little bit more to become like a real Terraria competitor kind of thing.
One of my mods is talking about how there's like unsellable, indestructible items that pollute your world, and definitely from NPCs. Can you comment on that? Is that something you've seen?
I mean, there are not, I think, to the degree that they're talking about. No.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure. That may be an later game thing.
Yeah. He comments on the NPC housing system is pointless because of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the NPC housing system is way more basic than Terraria's. They basically just offer you some live-in vendors.
Got it.
So, I mean, it's been a basic system from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. You said you're about halfway through it, yeah?
I think so. From the looks of the boss, about halfway.
I've been debating. there's a couple days till Space Marine this week, which will be the big release, and so it's either check this out, continue Wukong, or I don't know, play Blops or Deadlock or something. I don't know where I'm gonna go yet. But if this game's that long, I don't want to start it and then stop it.
Now, keep in mind, one of the reasons mine is as long as it is I'm playing on hard mode, which is very similar to Terraria's expert mode. So like when you roll a map, you make the whole world harder. Normal enemies are killing me in 2 hits.
Really?
So that is,
Damn.
you know, a lot of my time is like corpse runs and stuff. Bosses have abilities that like suck me in and just instant kill me. And the boss fights can be anywhere from like 3 to 5 minutes. So, you know, like I've had double-digit boss attempts. That being said, they do recommend you play on normal, and normal is a much more fluid experience. So from what I understand, the game is balanced around small group normal.
Okay.
So I'm playing solo on hard, which means obviously that is a much more difficult experience. Your playthrough would be significantly shorter than mine
On normal.
if you were to play it on normal.
Yeah.
And there's enough in this game that I definitely think, like, check it out. And this is the kind of game where you can just play and make progress in it, and you're not really like losing out on a lot if you put it down. There's not like a main story or anything where you're not going to see the ending, you know? You can just enjoy the time that you spend in it.
Cool. Yeah, I also never finished Wukong either, and I think
That's what I'm working on.
Yeah,
right
you're
now.
still finishing Wukong. I think Dan, did you finish Wukong yesterday?
I finished the normal ending yesterday. Yes.
Okay. All right. Jericho, did you check out Wukong at all?
Yeah, I played it for 4 hours and decided it probably wasn't for me to continue.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I do want to play that game only because there's so much like game of the year conversation around it that I think it's worth continuing it rather to see. I've heard that the boss fights only get crazier within it as you go deeper into the chapters, so that stuff would be kind of cool. Dan's giving me an emphatic head nod that it does get pretty crazy. So
Yep.
yeah, that would be kind of fun. Would you say it gets harder, Dan, or just crazier? Like, well, let me rephrase that. I know it gets harder the deeper you get into the game, because I think I asked you that last time. But like, what's the difficulty of it compared to the epicness of it? You know what I'm asking?
The chapter 6 is kind of where you can tell that they ran out of time and they ran out of budget, because it's definitely the weakest chapter. But boss fights are still cool, and the last fight is the fight that will really test everything you've learned. We'll put
The last fight of the normal ending?
normal ending.
Oh wow.
And the secret fights are even harder than that.
Okay, yeah.
I'm on the yellow long guy, and he's been a thing.
Isn't that like
So-
the big meme around? Isn't he like the difficult meme boss where everyone's like, oh yeah, but if you fought the yellow blah blah blah, isn't
he?
that? I think he is. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Chat will tell me in a
I
sec.
can see it. I mean, I've only tried him a couple times, but he is like on a quite a different level than the other ones I've fought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yellow. Okay. He's the hardest Luong or whatever.
Long.
Whatever. However you want to pronounce
I think
that.
it's just long.
Yeah. Random Wukong tangent. I watched a video of behind the scenes from, is it Game Science, I think is the devs, where they mocapped a bunch of cats a couple years back, and they just like put a bunch of cats in a mocap room, and then like, you know, the tiger boss at chapter 2, that's from like a mocap of a cat.
Really?
Which I was like, huh. They're like, yeah, we mocapped a cat, and then we realized that like, you can't get a cat to do anything. So we didn't really get any good, useful information. I don't know if it was a joke video or if, I mean, it was real. It was from Game Science. But then they talked about how they had to feed it into like an AI computer to like, it was a wild thing that I watched. I just saw a bunch of cats mocapped, and
Sounds
I was
like aliens that have never heard it. So we've never seen a real cat before. So we put a bunch in a room to document them. So,
it was weird.
what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, very strange. Very strange. All right. I've put it off long enough. Let's talk.
Wait, did somebody say, did JP see the date on that? They released that video on April Fool's Day.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
I don't know.
I told you
Somebody
it was
said that in
weird.
chat. I'm wondering, I didn't see the date.
Let's see. Game Science Cat
It'd be kinda-
video.
it'd be kinda
April
funny if it
Fools. I don't. Maybe. Again, it popped up in my mention, like in the recommended videos. So
This
maybe,
is how internet rumors are started.
Yeah.
I believe
This is
it.
how it all starts right here. We're watching it
I
transpire.
wish I could find the video. Uh-oh. They scrapped the video.
The video
from
doesn't
the
even
internet
exist anymore, dude.
God,
What-
it's
what is
really,
it?
It's
What is
really
that
hard to
theory
find the
that
SEO.
no one remembers the thing that actually happened. Is that what's going on here?
It's probably true. Yeah.
There's never any cats getting mocap.
It's
It
probably
never
true.
existed.
I just went to my history and typed cats. That didn't work. I don't know where the fuck this video is. Let's just move forward. And
JP in a dream.
yeah, no, this was a bad dream. There's the Forever Winter game. Oh God, that's right. The Goddess of Victory, Nike Evangelion stuff.
I had the trailer for that Forever game linked to me, but I didn't see it today. Did you watch it? How was it?
It was a lot of pandering, unfortunately. There was a lot of pandering
Oh.
in that video of like, we're not gonna, microtransactions are bad and we love our game players because you guys are the best game players. We liked video games more than any other day. It had nothing to do with
Weird.
the game. The actual like gameplay thing looked a lot better. That the video that at least that I watched was weird. Yes, is this April 1st? No, this was 6 days ago. It wasn't
6
April
days-
1st.
Oh my god, this is happening.
Look, they mocapped a bunch of cats. We got one guy. It was released on January 26th, 2022. Is when it came from. And then I'm not. It's really weird.
I love
It's a weird video.
Fantastic.
Yeah. And then there's the tiger boss that they used, which I think is the boss in chapter 2. Yeah.
Awesome.
Anyways, as I was saying, we've kind of dodged the conversation for last 45 minutes of the show. Let's talk Star Wars. Dan and I have both finished it. Played 2 hours and said, nope, I'm out. Jericho, have you had any exposure to the Star Wars Outlaws?
They didn't pay me, so no.
Yeah, I didn't get paid either. Dan, did you get paid?
Yes.
Dan got paid. I didn't get paid. Got paid. So we're 2 for 2, I guess, on the show. Dan, we'll start with you. How do you feel about it? Where you finished it? How do you feel about the old Star Wars Outlaws? It was quite the talk of the week. Still is, I think.
Yep. So my impressions was, the thing that the game does really well, I think better than a lot of Star Wars games, is the atmosphere and environments were just really good. Like just walking around Tatooine and these planets, it was just like one of the most beautiful games I played, and like really captured that feel of just like walking around in a tavern in Tatooine, or being on a space station in the middle of space on an Imperial base and like crawling in the vents. That was one part that I think it just was phenomenal. And the game's greatest strength was just the environment and the atmosphere. The game itself, the gameplay was very stealth focused. If you don't like stealth games, you're probably not gonna like this game, because there's a lot of forced stealth sections where you have to be quiet, or you get instantly fail the mission, that sort of thing. There is space battles that were more fun than I say Starfield. Not that that's a huge bar, but like that's the most recent game that had like dogfighting in space was Starfield that I could think of. It was much better than that. Those were really fun. Like there's transitions, you just like go in the spaceship and just go right into space with a very disguised loading screen. Doesn't feel like one. That was fun.
Yeah, good job turning Twitter into a minefield with your
my
clip.
God, yeah, I know.
Where you had to disable the comments.
I know, just like you.
Dude, what is with people not having any idea what sarcasm is?
I figured out the secret. You say something mildly like triggering or insulting that people could take in one way, and then like
shit.
a wildfire of comments and views. Now I see how people do it, because it's like views and clicks and ad revenue like crazy pop off.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, I had enough. I just turned it off.
Yeah. That was wild.
So I thought like I'm a big fan of slow games and role-playing games and stealth games. I know a lot of people are not like me, so like this for me this game was fun because I enjoyed Thief 4, which came out in 2013. Everyone hated that game, but I love that game. You just go around slowly stealing stuff from different things. So for me, it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. Things the game didn't do great. Let's see. The AI of enemies was they could be really dumb at times where they should see you, they should hear you, but they don't. But then again, a lot of stealth games kind of have that. I'm like,
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah. Like
I-
if you make the AI too good, it's just like a reload simulator where you're like
Yeah.
constantly getting caught, So they gotta be a little dumb.
That's what I made a incendiary statement the other day that like there's no good stealth game.
Splinter Cell.
But isn't that game cool because you're the what's his name? Whatever the main character is.
Sam Fisher?
Yeah, isn't it like that's the cool part of it? Like that's the power fantasy of it is that you're like this fucking I don't know. It's a weird conversation because I really do feel that like stealth games are just one of the hardest games to make. And a lot of people Dishonored was another one.
The answer to your question is Dishonored.
But
that is the answer to your question.
I heard a lot of people say Dishonored, but Dishonored was, at least for me, maybe I'm wrong, for you, the world and the character were what carried Dishonored for me. Was that the same for you?
I mean, for me, I think the mechanics were huge because they gave you so many ways to deal with stealth. Like the fact that they gave you a slight delay to warp away when you were looked at.
Okay.
With your little warp ability. Like they took an approach to stealth that was very casual in a good way. It made you feel strong. It made you feel stealthy even if you were playing like shit. That's awesome. So I think a good stealth game is one that makes you feel like you're being stealthy, but also is challenging, and that's really tough because like I mean take Star Wars for instance. In my sponsor stream, first thing I did was like, hey, let me see if I can just get in a bush and whistle everyone over. Exactly what I could do. Like I literally just got in a bush and whistled until everyone was dead, and then I took 10 steps forward, whistled until everyone was dead, and just did that in the whole area.
Would it shock you to know that I didn't realize that there was a whistle button until about 20 hours in?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well,
what's funnier is the reason
you had to read it,
yeah. But also, it's just that's kind of a normal thing. So it's kind of like stealth gameplay is one of those. It's one of those things where it's a sliding scale and there's no right answer. Like how dumb do you make the NPCs to make the player feel like they're a stealth god, but still make it immersive enough to where it doesn't feel like you're walking around in a museum with fake people. Like, and that's tough. That's tough. So I feel like Dishonored does that well by giving you lots of outs while still keeping it pretty difficult. So it's like you still had the, oh God, I need to hide in this corner. Hopefully that guy doesn't see me feeling. But then if he did see you, you could warp away pretty easily. Most games, you just get seen in the corner. Oh, the bar fills up. You can't go anywhere. You're caught. Yeah. So, it's that kind of situation.
Yeah. In a Dishonored, you have the option to just go pure combat if you want. You could ignore all the stealth and just go pure badass combat. But this game doesn't really give you that option.
Yeah.
Hitman. Sorry, go ahead.
No. By all means, go ahead. You're going to talk
I was
about
going to
Hitman.
just say that because you mentioned Hitman. Like, Hitman is I don't even feel like that's a fair comparison to like a Splinter Cell where, your goal is to be chill, but like that game is not in the same vein. Somebody made a good suggestion in my chat. They said Alien Isolation is a great stealth game. May not fit traditional stuff, but that, to its core is a sneak around and don't get caught game.
Yeah.
Honestly, with Hitman, I mean, Hitman's a sandbox. So I guess
it's a sandbox.
You could play Hitman like that, but you could also play it nothing
run and
like
gun,
that
and
be just fine.
I
walk
got
around
caught
with
in
a
every
fish.
mission. I got caught.
Yeah.
Hitman is like what you said earlier with Call of Duty, where you want to make those funny moments where you take out a guy in like a hilarious way or something that like is a great clip.
Yeah.
Just so chat doesn't have an aneurysm, we are aware that Metal Gear Solid exists. We know.
What's that?
Tell us about it, chat. What is Metal Gear Solid? Is that a stealth game? Is that?
It's a recycling plant. They deal with cardboard boxes.
Metal Gear.
I guess, yeah.
It's a high D, isn't it? Is it a high D?
It's a probiotic
Mm.
or a fiber supplement. Metal Gear Solid fiber supplement.
It's a transformer fiber supplement.
It'll get your rest bucket firing off great.
Metal Gear had, it's actually funny. Metal Gear and this game Stealth are similar in terms of how it's structured of like, you can get through a lot of encounters in this game by just running gunning. You can get through a lot of encounters in Metal Gear by running and gunning. But every once in a while you get an encounter in Metal Gear where you're forced to not be seen. And there's a lot of moments like that in this game as well. Like they're in a strange, bizarre, they're kind of similar in that vein that I had not actually considered.
Although I did discover in this game that you can get caught, they can't raise the alarm, so you can murder everyone before they get to the alarm button, or even
or trap the alarms.
Sabotage it.
Yeah.
Realistic, in my opinion. I don't know how ghosts raise the alarm.
Man, I guess I'm just incendiary today. Here's another statement. I watched a fellow friend and content creator who will be not named, Mr. Cox.
Oh.
I think you're just bad at stealth games.
We'll call him Bessie Locks.
He ranted and raved about the stealth and like how many times he got caught. And I'm just like,
Stealth is not for everyone.
I think you're just kind of bad at
specific
stealth
gameplay style. Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Yeah. Here I'll give him some self-promotion after I just like shot him on it. Go watch the Geekender's most recent episode. He ranted on the Star Wars and the stealth and how frustrating it was. I never did you ever get super frustrated with it, Dan? I don't think I did. Maybe once.
I found the game extremely easy, even on hard mode. Like I had no issues. Even the combat, there is combat. The combat is you play it like you would Han Solo. You got a blaster that's like really, really strong. But the most powerful feature she has is her fist. She can one-shot anyone with one punch of her fist on a stormtrooper, like just back to back. And then also your little companion Nyx, you can like send them to distract or attack someone, and it's really brokenly strong.
Yeah.
You just like have them attack one. The guy looks at the guy getting attacked. You go up, take that guy out, then run to the one Nyx is on, punch them as well. It's silly and fun if you like that kind of like OP-ness.
Did your chat erupt with a lot of like, how'd she knock out that stormtrooper with that punch?
That was me. I was saying that. I was doing it. Like, God, what is her fist made out of?
Every single time I knocked a stormtrooper out, everyone is like, how the fuck did she do that, man? She must be super strong.
Who needs force powers? Just have her sneak up behind Vader. Boop, gone.
Yeah, it's because all the stormtroopers bought their kit at a Spirit Halloween store. It's that time of year, so
look,
flimsy.
every time I played Little League. Some of us on the show might have played Little League, and whenever you put that cap on and coach came up and tapped, that fucking hurt. So if I'm a stormtrooper and I got punched in the back of the head, I think it would probably hurt. I think it might not be a fun experience. So that's how I got through it. That's how I dealt with that. But it did look kind of funny every single time she would like clobber them over the side of the head. But yeah. Dan, sorry, I interrupted your description of the game and went on multiple tangents. Please, if you remember where you were.
You're fine. I'll interrupt it. Tell you what. The story was, I think, is very okay. It was very typical Star Wars. You know, there's rebels, there's an empire. People are forced to help the one or the other, and nothing was really surprising or like spectacular with story wise. It was fine.
Yeah.
There were some good characters. There were some characters that were pretty, like, you could tell this was just like C-3PO, but different, like definitely like homage characters. A few Easter eggs to the movies, couple characters that appear from the movies if you're looking, a couple secrets, some kind of blatant. So if you're a big fan of Star Wars and you like stealth games, I mean, it's fine. You'll probably enjoy it. if not, like, I just wait for it to go on sale. Like, it's enjoyable enough that I had a good time with it, but I can see why a lot of people wouldn't like it because it is a very slow paced game. A lot of listening, a lot of like exploring, looking for like the next clue where the treasure is. The open world stuff, I don't feel like added that much. It was a lot of just empty space driving around. I feel like they could have left out the open world stuff. It doesn't like it's beautiful, it's good for pictures, but it didn't really like add to the game in any meaningful way.
Yeah, I can't argue that at all. The open world aspect was more about, for me at least, was more about like, at least in Tatooine. The other planets I wasn't super prone to like going to look around, but like you go to Tatooine, it's like, oh, I want to go look at Luke's house. I want to go see. I want to go listen to the jizz music and fucking Jabba's place. And yeah, I said
exploration is fun. Exploration.
Okay,
no, that's
wait
music.
a minute. What'd you
heard
just
that
say?
too?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah, you
music.
heard-
It's jizz music. That's Star Wars music. It's called jizz music. Look it up.
Oh,
Get
jazz
learned.
music. Okay.
No, it's not jazz.
Okay.
It's jizz.
Oh,
It's jizz music. That's the
Well, I guess it
actual
does
name of
come
the
out of the
music.
speakers,
I'm
doesn't
not
it?
making this up. It is.
1 second to the Googles.
It is what it's called.
Music.
It's real. Be careful when you Google jizz music.
The only thing that you need to
Yeah, that is.
understand is that jizz was an upbeat swinging genre of music, most notably performed by Figrin Don and the Modal Notes and the Max Rebo Band. Other notable jizz bands
Motherfucking Max
include
Rebo. Put
Bolo
some
Baker,
respect
Al
on his
Biff Band,
name.
Evar Orbis and his Galactic Jizz Whalers, and Fizgrin D'An and the new Modal Nodes, the Sozanels. Subgenres of jizz included jizz whale, oddbait, and glitz. Also music form
Oddbait?
jats,
Mm.
which was reminiscent or in some ways very similar to jizz.
You're goddamn right.
phrases.
Now,
jizz
if we could
whaler.
get into the dynamics of jizz instruments. Now, we have we have the jizz box. That is
Yep.
the jizz
There
box.
was now there
Oh
was
my
no jizz
God.
box in this
No.
game.
Excuse
I
me,
looked for the
excuse
jizz
me,
box.
Excuse me,
It was not
excuse
there.
me. I am not done. The jizz box was a musical device
wasn't
in
there.
13 ABY. The protocol droid C-3PO, who was stranded on the planet of Nimdrovis, auctioned to perform at a cantina called the Wookiee's Codpiece, featuring the jizz box. And if you had ever told me 10 years ago I would utter those words in that order in front of thousands of people, I probably would have slapped you.
You got it. It's all about the jizz in this game.
Meanings of words come and go over time. It just change, like word means one thing in one decade, then a few decades later.
For the
it means
record,
something different.
I want to make
True.
it clear that
Yeah.
every single word I have uttered on this podcast in the last 2 minutes has been verbatim off the StarWars.fandom.com wiki,
The Wikipedia is what you mean.
also known as the comprehension populace of jizz.
There you go.
So
AKA
if you
the
do
Wikipedia.
need any more information on jizz,
Are we not?
make
Are
sure
we
to
sure
check
it's
out
not
the Star Wars
Giz?
fandom.
No, it's just
Hey, mispronunciation.
fucking Max. That's the one thing this game messed up is Max Rebo is not in Jabba's palace. Salacious Crumb is there, and Bib Fortuna gives you a bunch of fucking quests, which is really cool. But no
And
fucking
let's
Max
be real,
Rebo.
Jericho. Potatoes,
sounds like a
tomatoes, my
problem.
man. Yeah, that's
true.
what it comes down to.
Dan, I want to go back to the story. I thought you said the game's very slow. I agree with you. And I saw a lot of conversations about this game on Twitter for people that were in favor of it and saying it's good, with the caveat of like, it takes like 15 hours to get good. And I hate that I agree with that because I thought the back half of the story was infinitely better than the first half of the
Yeah.
story. The first half of the story is like very mundane, very boring, not super interesting. And the back half, they like, oh right, we got to do a game. This is a game. We got to tell a good story.
Yeah.
And then
It
they start
definitely
telling a good
takes time.
story.
They do that trope that a lot of games do where we're going to shove this expedition down your throat so you know who everyone is and all the relationships. You're going to like it. And we're going to make sure you know everything. So they definitely fell into that trap where like they don't even let you like play for like Persona with 5. I love that game, but that there's like so much expedition and like they never let you just play for hours and hours. So this game definitely had a lot of railroading through a lot of it before it lets you just start playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the second half of the story much better than the first half. First half is mostly setting up who this character is that we're introducing,
Yeah.
what the relationship with everyone in the world is, and setting it all up. I can see why people would get bored of that beginning section because it's not very interesting. It doesn't get interesting for a while, but once it starts getting going, it starts to pull you in a lot more as you get further in.
Yeah, I would agree. I also kind of the other big caveat, the elephant in the room, perhaps, is people's disdain for the main character, and just a lot of it is like chud bullshit of like, what's this female character? I don't want to fuck this character. She's not hot enough type conversation. But there's also just like, yeah, the character's not interesting. The character is super boring or whatever. What are your thoughts on one? Do you want to fuck the main character? Two, what are your thoughts on the main character?
I'm gay, so that was never.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
okay, I'm glad we
doesn't mean it's
okay,
not
right.
an option, Dan. Everything's on the table.
Look, I'm just doing what's gonna get the clicks. Okay, this is all for the content.
Yeah,
here.
she's definitely not the boba baiting character that a lot of females in games tend to be. Like, there's no physics, involved around the character model and that kind of stuff. That she's definitely just an average looking person. Like, she's not incredibly ugly or incredibly hot. She's just like very average, and people don't like average in like fantasy. They want to have their fantasy moment.
There is an important thing to interject into this conversation here.
Sure.
That I think is one of the reasons that people got incensed. Have you seen a picture of the character in the game next to a picture of the voice actor?
Yeah, she's beautiful. The
She's
actress is
gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And I think that's what people are very confused about. They're like, because there's this kind of weird discussion going on in game dev where like they try to make not just women, people look more unattractive on purpose. That's a whole different discussion. That's a whole different thing. But this is playing into that larger discussion where it's like, why do game devs from this area of the world make people that look attractive unattractive? I'm not saying I'm picking a side. I'm just saying that's what people are talking
You're
about.
explaining the subject. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm also, if you're being hired to voice act, you're not being hired to act or be model. It's a whole different set of permissions that you're granting to the studio, your likeness and everything. So it's entirely possible the voice actor didn't want that, or that the studio did not want to provide budget for that. That's just one of the other reasons why. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you. They could have just made it look one-to-one like her. But that also might just not have been their vision in the general sense.
True.
Like, why does the voice actor have to look like the character they play?
Yeah. I think the devil's advocate thing in there is that the character looks like her, but it's like if you look at them side by side, they look similar. It's just like one of them it looks different. It's not like she's playing a different character in the game. You can tell it looked like they tried to make it look like her and didn't do a good job.
If they had flipped it and they had made, let's just say the voice actor was below, like, I don't even know how to quantify this, but let's just say they made her traditionally hotter, right? Like would there be the equal amount of pushback? Like, I'm just curious because I don't know about that.
I mean, the conversation is as ridiculous as Jericho is making it sound. You're absolutely like this is why the whole thing is so ridiculous. That's exactly right. So no, I mean, that's a great point. It's a very good point. Like what, and that's happened plenty of times where people have mo-capped characters that then go on to become like picturesque, iconic Greek goddesses, right? That happens all the time. Right. But you never see anyone talking about that. So it is a weird thing, but it is a very actual discussion going on right now. And that screenshot that I've talked about, I have seen tons of times in the last like little bit. So it's happening.
Yeah, weird, I mean, I started the conversation by asking what he would do. So this is on me, I assume. I will take credit for this guy. That whole thing is just like I don't know. I think it's a fucking stupid conversation at the end of the day. It may be happening. But the conversation
is the main character hot enough?
Yeah, it's like
that's the main character.
It's like what the fuck is that conversation? It's fucking so stupid. The character should be, is the character interesting? which is how I should
only-
have asked.
favorite
the
character in
only
Deadlock,
funniest
a
part is-
robot.
Yeah, the only funniest part is the same people saying that in discussions are going, "Have you seen Stellar Blade? Have you seen First Descendant? Where are my butts, guys? Where are my butts?
Sure.
Like, why are those butts not in the games over here? I want those butts everywhere." I'm sorry.
yeah.
It's like with Troy
Like that.
Baker. Sometimes he looks like the character, sometimes he doesn't. Like, I guess it's just up to the studio. Like, who knows? Like, maybe they didn't want her to look like it. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Holy
Maybe they
shit,
look
can you
similar,
imagine
just
if-
coincidence.
Yeah, can you imagine if like anime voice actors had to look like their characters had to look like their voice
my
actor, and
God.
you've just got like Goku running around as like a 35-year-old like small
I was gonna
Japanese
say,
woman.
Every single child in anime has like a 30-plus-year-old voice actor.
Yeah, literally.
Sorry.
Like, I just don't understand the argument here. It's like whatever they want. They got hired for a role, and it's whatever the developer of the game wanted it to look like. That's kind of the end of the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I think on the conversation of is it a good character? To roll it all back.
That's fair.
I actually enjoyed the fact that she, one, acts like she knows what she's doing, and two, has absolutely no fucking clue what she's doing as like someone that's new to this whole world. Like that like false sense of like, oh yeah, you know, I'm an outlaw type deal. I enjoyed that aspect, and it kind of like changed throughout the entire. There was actual growth by the end of it, so it worked for me. Like I enjoyed that aspect of her character.
One thing I really liked about her as a character is that she didn't want to join the rebels. She thought they were stupid. She's like, I'm not getting involved with this shit. I'm not going to go against the Empire.
Yeah,
Like, I'm not helping you. Like, that was refreshing, because most of the time, like, people revere the rebels, and like, it was nice to have a character that doesn't.
the game shits all over the rebels like every
Yeah.
chance it gets. Every person in the game is just like, no, the rebels are just as fucking bad as any of these other groups. What are we doing here? Like that was kind of cool. I agree with you in that aspect. Then they never mention at all the Jedi. Like there's no, even when something happens, they're just like, I don't know what the fuck just happened, and then they move on.
Yep.
It was cool.
I like that no one knew what force powers were. Like, you witnessed something at one point, and the character's like, I don't know what just happened. I can't explain it. Like, because it's just like they don't. It's so uncommon for people to have seen this power.
Yeah.
Whereas, like in the movies, it's all you ever see is Jedis constantly and Siths constantly. So it was cool to like have someone not know what a force power was.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's very cool.
I really enjoyed being in that world and having that be the case. That was probably my number one thing about the entire game is like, you're in the Star Wars world, right? Like you're experiencing all this stuff that, you know, has been in the fandom for so long, without all the bullshit of, you know, the rest of the Star Wars world, right? You're just a normal human smuggler existing. And I think if it does, I hope it does well enough. I mean, it's got Star Wars attached to it. But I would love to see them get a second stab at this and like further push the character. How'd you feel about like the character advancement? Because that was one thing where I would go back and forth. It really sucked when he finished an outpost and it was like so-and-so outpost finished, and then you like didn't get any experience or anything like that. It was like, oh, you found a blaster part, and that blaster part gives you an upgrade. I wanted like a skill tree at the end of the day.
And that sounds almost as good as a poncho.
Yeah, that's right. It felt a little bit like the next step from a poncho, but not a fully realized RPG. 100%.
Yeah, the progression was a little interesting. They definitely tried something new where instead of it being like your character has to do a checklist of things, like find a resource, do this many takedowns without anyone seeing you, and then a person you know will then teach you something, like, and then you get like a new ability or a new tool or something by completing challenges where you like, one of them is, for example, using the fast talk ability 6 times, then you have to stun them with the stun gun while you're fast talking, and then you unlock a new upgrade to that ability. So I personally thought I didn't really like it that much. I was like, it's fine. It's just, I wish some things were like that, and other things were like you said, like you get like skill points or XP or something. But I guess they didn't want to go the RPG route. They wanted to make it just like the stealth game. I appreciate them trying something new. This game is definitely not going to have mass appeal because it's so different than what you would expect from a Star Wars game. Like when you think Star Wars game, you kind of think in your head, oh, I want to go kill a bunch of people with my lightsaber. I want to have some force powers. I want to do some cool shit like the Jedi Survivor did. Whereas this is a very grounded game where you're just a person and you just have a blaster and you got to sneak around. So it was definitely a risk. I don't know if it'll pay off, but it seems more like this was a game for them to push their Ubi Plus, where you like get that subscription, you get to play the game once, and then you kind of like a Game Pass game almost, where it's made for like you release it just to get people to stay sub to your Ubi Plus thing, like Game Pass does.
Yeah. That was the number one thing when people were like, is this game worth $70? Which is the stupidest. I hate that question because I don't know what money is worth to that person. But it's like, I would say that, and then, hey, Ubisoft Plus is $20. You could probably finish this for a month and then cancel Ubisoft Plus. Or keep it running, and then when AC Shadows comes out, play that, and then cancel, because you'll remember, hey, I maybe want to play this game. Oh, right, I never unsubbed. Type deal.
A lockpicking minigame wanted me to... I was going to turn to the dark side.
The what?
Some of the later ones. The lockpicking minigame where you got to do the rhythm.
Oh, dude, I love that.
I love those.
Yeah, I was super on board with the rhythm game aspect.
It was fine until I got to some locks that had like 6, and I kept messing up the 4th or the 5th one, and I just got so mad at a few of them. I liked it otherwise.
I had to do the like final, I wouldn't say the final, but like 4 or 5 hours without headphones yesterday because my ears are messed up. And so when I was doing those rhythm games, it was really fucking hard because I had to go by the light blinking. And yeah, turns out you need audio for rhythm games. It's a core component to unlocking that stuff. I had a real hard time with that. I also like Star Wordle for the different the slice mechanics.
Wordle.
Yeah. It's straight up Star Wars Wordle.
It's just Wordle. There's really nothing more to it.
Those were two kind of cool systems that I enjoyed. What else? I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Ko, I know you jumped off pretty hard at the end of your sponsored stream. What were like the glaring aspects for you that were the
for Star Wars?
Yeah, I don't want to continue this at all.
The main thing that really killed it for me is that like I realized that it was going to be a story heavy game, and the animations in the face are terrible. They're terrible.
And the cutscenes.
Like you could hear the voice actor and see her like really putting effort in her, making big faces, smiling while she talked. Like you could hear her smiling. And her character just be sitting there like,
Sure.
It's like, man, like coming from Horizon, dude, and you're gonna like charge like, this is one of the top IPs in the world by one of the most flush with money companies in the world, and it's like, this is the level of like Star Wars. You know, it was a real big problem for me.
Yeah, I don't know why there was no mocap. Because I agree, like, that aspect of the cutscenes was rough. And I don't know if that's, like, the engine, what is it? Is that the massive engine? I forgot what the engine is called.
Snowdrop?
Snowdrop, yeah. Like, I don't know if it was, if like, I don't know. I don't know why it didn't exist. Because you're 100% correct.
We've been so spoiled by most Ubisoft games having full motion capture in like every cutscene with Assassin's Creed. So it was definitely jarring to go back to like old school hand animations for faces and stuff. So it just felt dated.
Well, and the weird thing is like I came into this game coming from Star Wars Jedi, the last 2 of those games, which I really liked. Those were really quality games. Yeah. And I was coming to this one and I was like, all right, let's like see the next step of this. And immediately, like the stealth stuff and then the faces and all that, I got to the end of my 2 hours and I was just like, this is not a step forward for me. If anything, this is like a step to the side, maybe even a little bit of a step back, but like, this is not the step forward I wanted.
In terms of the mocap stuff?
In terms of the whole thing, the mocap stuff, the gameplay, it all felt fine. But as like somebody who's not a big Star Wars fan, I was like, Wukong is a lot better than fine. Core Keeper's a lot better than fine. Like, this is not where I want to spend my time right now. Like, there's better options.
Yeah.
So like I said at the end of my stream, it's not a bad game. I just definitely was wanting more out of it.
Sure. I do want to comment on the graphics of the game, and the fact that they kind of future-proofed this game. There's actually an unlockable graphic mode that you have to go into Ubisoft and change the launch parameters of the game to enable outlaw graphics. Holy shit. I did that, and I have a 4090, I have a 13900K, like it's a pretty good machine by all intents and purposes. I was getting like 15 FPS. Like, it brought my machine to its fucking knees, man.
Well,
it was crazy.
To be clear, if they're putting that setting behind command line, that means that they probably didn't even spend a penny optimizing it. So like, just because it's low performance, like that.
If seeing how good that looked, I could definitely be swayed to be like, oh yeah, that's pushing my fucking machine. Crazy.
So it looked beautiful.
Dude, you could zoom in photo mode on the character's eye and see the entire rest of the level in fully realized like detail. Like the RTX was wild. It is absolutely insane how detailed and how like graphic intense that is.
Hashtag NVIDIA partner. Anyway,
I am an NVIDIA partner. Yeah.
Tell me more about how the ray tracing like bounced twice off the different.
You can't discredit how good it looks because I
Did this have
sponsors.
DLSS 3.0?
No, that is super cool though. So you think they hit it just because the performance is so bad? Like, you just couldn't get it
100%. I really do think. I even think that they put the game. It launches in default in 21:9.
Yeah, the letterbox thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is actually for FPS issues, because if you turn that off, it actually hits.
It zooms you in.
It zooms you in, but it fills the screen. But it takes a pretty big FPS hit the second it does that.
Well,
no, 20
the important
FPS
thing is when you have letterbox bars, there's two different ways to go about it when you take them off. Either you zoom in or the bars zoom out. And they are zoom in, which means you're probably absolutely right that it could have been performance related. But it's also, I think the letterbox though does offer a more cinematic, wider FOV, if I'm not mistaken though, for even widescreen monitors. So I think that was the box line for it.
Yeah.
How pretty the game was did not translate on stream. Like when you're just playing it on your computer, like the best moments of the game are where you're just like crawling through the ducts of an Imperial base. You're seeing all the lighting coming through the pipes and stuff, and you're hearing the noises. It's just like really cool if you really like those kind of immersive moments. And if you like photo mode, the game has a really good photo mode for taking photos.
Yeah, it's really good. Code joked about the NVIDIA reference, but this is actually from Jacob Freeman, who used to work at EVGA, and now he is his official title at NVIDIA is GeForce Evangelist. And so all he does is post about how the games look whenever a new game comes out. Like that's his role.
I mean, I recently did a sponsor thing for NVIDIA for Wukong, and where they kind of like went over the instances of like where the tech is. And when you start looking for it, when you know what to look for, like, I was, that thing I said earlier about the double bouncing thing, that's an actual thing where if a light bounces off that eye right there, it can then bounce off a second surface to reflect to you. So what that means is that theoretically, arguably, you could look in a water pool and see the reflected full version of her eye in that pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have the technology. That's crazy to think about.
Yeah. Like
sometimes though you gotta think that it's sometimes though you gotta feel like it's diminishing returns, right? Like I'd rather get to a point where we just have like insane textures on every single wall panel or versus like I can see 9 reflections in the eye of somebody if I get too close.
Yeah. Well,
and that brings up an interesting conversation that actually we have all the time is what's more important, if it looks pretty or if it performs well?
That's the big thing.
Does it matter how good it looks if it's at 25 frames? Does it even matter?
Outliers everywhere.
Yeah. No,
it'd be nice to get to a point where DLSS isn't even necessary anymore because you can just render it in real time, like at high frames.
It's unfortunate because DLSS is now like such a crutch for optimization and development that like if I turn off DLSS or any sort of upscaling method in this game, running it at 4K, I will struggle to pull 30 FPS. Like I have to have some sort of upscaling method on, or I just can't hit 60 plus frames in this game. And that goes for like the Wukong, another game. If I turn off DLSS in that game, no fucking way am I hitting 60 FPS at 4K. It's unfortunately like it is a crutch.
It's wild because that means you aren't playing in 4K.
Right,
Like,
I'm playing at
that's essentially what it
1440p
comes down
upscaled. Yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about.
I don't want to say that it like makes devs lazy, but the positive spin on that is it helps devs get higher FPS.
It doesn't make devs lazy, but what it does is it makes it so the same resources are not spent on optimization like they should have been, and instead they're put towards other things. And the problem there is that as we see that methodology continue to go, where NVIDIA's chasing the DLSS dragon, devs are chasing the, oh cool, we don't need to optimize then dragon, and it's just going to get to a point where the whole thing's untenable, and we're all playing games at 9K that are 1440 upscaled.
Yeah.
Which is like my core problem with the whole race to the max fidelity is that ultimately I feel like I am not interested in pushing the fidelity slider all the way without allowing for the performance slider to catch up. I think the purpose of having 4K is lost on me because I'd rather play 100% of the time in 2K 144 rather than 4K 60. Like that's kind of like a non-starter.
Yeah.
And I feel that way even in single player games. I hate playing on my Switch because it's jarring. I'm like, this looks
that's
like
a whole other combo.
Hey, don't tell the Obsidian devs that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So
careful.
That's also true. Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. And funny enough, the exact reason I have not jumped to 4K myself is because there's never a situation when I would want a game to look better and have less frames. For me personally, never a situation where that's a thing.
Yeah.
So I'd rather, if I could play in perfect 60 and have every game be gray boxed, I'd do that. Like, I don't care. So it's very much just like Jericho said, it's situational, but yeah.
For me, it's a little bit of like Pandora's box, because like I've seen things that will run at 4K 240 and it's like, holy, like I want all that. And then a game runs at like 4K 100. I'm like, okay, I mean, like this is still serviceable. And then it starts hitting like 4K, like 80, 4K 70. I'm like, this is a little bit, I want a little bit more FPS. But yeah.
Also the more concerning part is if you look at the direction of the engines and their resource utilization and the direction that the engines that all these games run on is moving, it's not going to get better anytime soon.
Yeah.
Like it's a disturbing trend. For sure.
Yeah. Well, look, we're all just gonna have to buy 5090s in 3 months or 4 months, whenever that shit
God
comes
forbid you don't have an NVIDIA card during these days, right? Like, oh my, like the AMD tech is.
I thought you were being joking, but no, you're right.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying in the current environment, like NVIDIA partner, but go get an NVIDIA card. You better. Like, I mean, it sounds kind of weird, but it's. I mean, the AMD stuff is good, but from what I understand, it is not DLSS. Like, I think there's a few where it works better, but most cases it doesn't. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is the marketing push from NVIDIA. Like everyone partners with NVIDIA, so it's front and center is like, hey, you got to use DLSS 3.5 because blah blah blah.
And then the projects themselves have to be tailored to take advantage of the technology, and there's different degrees and levels of that as well. So yeah, messy.
Yeah. Anyways, we kind of got lost in the sauce with the Outlaw conversations, but I think Dan and I are in agreement. We both think it serviceable. I really enjoyed the story towards the end. The beginning was rough, slow. I should not say rough. And like, if you're not a super big fan of stealth games, or at least inclined to play a stealth game, maybe not going to be your game.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as a one-time game. I'll probably never play it again. It was like a good one-time experience, and I'll probably never go back to it. But I enjoyed my time while I was in it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There is a bunch of things to, if you want to continue. Like I think I cleared 28 hours in my playthrough. I don't know where you sat with yours, but there's probably 40 to 50 hours worth of game in there if you try to do everything.
a lot of planets and space stuff I didn't do, so I can go back and do all that side stuff
Yeah.
if I wanted to.
And they've already got DLC and stuff like that planned. It is very Star Wars fandom inclined, where it's like you're doing, Clone Wars side quest and things like that. Where if you don't have the allure of the Star Wars fandom pulling you, I don't know how much of that stuff would be like super interesting. But it's like, I see a Roger droid, and I'm like, oh my god, look at that fucking thing over there! Look at that! Oh my
The
god!
factory was great. I was like, yes.
This is the planet of Salacious Crumb. You guys look at it. He's over there.
Is that the one with the jizz boxes?
Is that a pod racer?
No, the jizz boxes should be on Tatooine, but as I said, Max Rebo and the Jizzettes, or whatever the fuck they're called, are not in the game, and that is upsetting.
They must have a big problem getting sand in their jizz box on that planet.
They probably do. They probably do.
I am upset on the Jizzder's behalf. That's his nickname, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
I am.
That's true. A lot of references on Tatooine, though. You can find a pod racer. You can find Han Solo. Can
you find the Chupatagaya guy? Chupatagaya. Can you find him? Is he there? The flying elephant guy from Pod Racer?
No, I think he's dead. Isn't he dead? I want to say that character died. Sebulba. Unless you're talking about Watto.
Maybe. Could be.
I think.
Sure.
Sebulba's probably dead. I don't know if Watto's alive.
Damn. Sebulba died? He was like the one thing holding me on to Star Wars.
Pretty sure he's dead. Yeah.
I just wanted to see him in Pod Racer 2.
Jericho, what's your favorite part of Star Wars? Where do you...
Dude, I wish. I don't wish. I haven't seen
what fandom are you in, Jericho? Like, if we had to, I guess it would probably be some anime shit. Yeah,
I think I'm probably the biggest fan of anime in general.
Yeah.
I never got into Star Wars, Star Trek. I didn't grow up around people who were into that. And as I grew older, I never I watched Phantom Menace in theaters, and then that was it until the new 3 trilogy came out, and I did sponsored work with them. So my second Star Wars was seeing the Last Jedi, which was.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I could see why you're.
I don't know. It seemed okay to me. I just didn't get into it, and I don't know, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we got a big fan of The Last Jedi here. The ears perked up. Oh, he's gone. Now I spooked him. It was your cat.
Oh, the cat? Was it the cat? Okay. I was very confused for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, let's do some shout outs and call it a show. Jericho, thank you so much for jumping into the show. Dan, thank you so much for filling in for Zeke for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, man,
my pleasure.
He'll be burning. Is Burning Man over? When does that end?
It ends Tuesday, I believe.
Okay. All right. Well,
whenever Zeke comes down, really.
Yeah. He'll emerge from the burn.
I sent Zeke my friend's address. Hopefully they'll meet up together because my friend's runs a camp at the burn.
Oh, nice.
And I forgot that Zeke was going, but yeah, a lot of fun.
You have to ask him. Let's do some shout outs. Call it a show. Dan, we'll start with you. What do you got going on? Where can people check you out?
Awesome. Thanks for having the show. I'm DansGaming / DansGaming on all platforms. Feel free to follow me if you like me. I'll be playing some, like everyone else, some Space Marine 2 on few days, so if you want to watch some of that, I'll be playing it. Tomorrow's Punday Monday, and I'll be playing a game co-recommended called Thank Goodness You're Here.
Nice.
So it should be a fun, silly game for tomorrow. But thanks for having me on the show, and it's a pleasure as always. And good to talk with you again, Jericho. Haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I miss you, bud.
Jericho, do some shout outs. What do you got going on?
Thanks for having me again. I am probably like you expect. I'm probably going to play some Call of Duty and some Deadlock today. If you guys want or like dance music at all, make sure you guys check out my record label Night Mode. And if you stream, you can use all of our music and content for free. And outside of that, nothing. Just thanks for having me on. It's been fun.
What time are you playing Deadlock?
I gotta hit up Flom because he's been playing No Life, so I gotta.
I don't want to. If you're gonna play with Flom, I'm out.
I'm gonna be sweaty.
I don't want to get in those fucking sweat lobbies, man. What the fuck? I don't want to do that shit.
I don't want you either. I'm sorry.
Fair. Code, do some shout outs.
Okay. Anyway, hi. My name, as always, big thanks to Dan and Jericho. Really appreciate you guys filling in this week. My name is Ko. You're going to be seeing a lot of Core Keeper. We're going to be playing Wukong. We've got, of course, Space Marine 2 coming up with some fun things to talk about pertaining to that as we get closer to it. And yeah, that's really about it. So I hope to see you in the channel. If not, I will see you next week. And that's about it.
Thank you very much, Jizzologist Carnage. That's your new name.
You are very welcome.
Yeah,
Sounds great.
It's all about.
I'll let my wife know. Sure,
We'll see you next week, everyone. Thanks for
think she already
watching.
Hey-o. Whoa, slow down, buddy.
Hey, I'm not the one with kids, you know?
Jesus Christ. We're out of here. Have a good week. We'll see you next week. Maximilian, dude. Zeke will be back. It'll be episode 400. That's right. This is not episode 401. And last week was not episode 400. It was 399.5. Even though the title of this
FM.
video says otherwise. Thanks, Reggie. We're out of here. Bye.
Whoops.
That's the wrong thing. Bye.